Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me, as always, is Eric, Nathaniel, and Dennis. What is going on, everyone?
Hello,
Everyone.
hello.
Hello. Happy to be
Oh,
here. We're missing
hello.
Rob, unfortunately. Sad.
Yeah, we're missing Rob. He's got some crap going on. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so he couldn't be here tonight. So maybe next week. Hopefully. I mean,
Hopefully, yeah.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, hey, things come up, or life. I mean, what are you going to do? Life. Well,
Life. How does
It
that
is
work?
what it is. It
Life.
does happen.
Life. What is life? What is
Uncontrolled, tumultuous thing called life.
Yeah.
It's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
It
we were.
happens when it happens and how it wants to happen.
What
So
was it we were talking about today on the way? We had some running to do, so we were driving down the road and said something about being 12 years old again. It was like, man, we didn't. How fast time goes now compared to when you were 12 years old, and it's just like,
yeah,
dude, when all I had to worry about was getting to the end of that school day when the bell went off, it's like,
Yep.
didn't know how good I got it. So, if any young people listening, cherish these times.
cherish it all. Well, no, I've been thinking about the same thing, right? And it's just like, it's just, and I'm in my late 20s, so
Oh my
even then,
goodness!
yeah, I know, but listen,
Oh, old.
the point is the fact that like if I'm realizing it now, it's just like it's something that definitely hits you early on, where it's just like, especially right when you get out of high school and you start going to college, and I think that's when you start becoming like really an adult and you
Yeah,
start realizing like, okay, day by day, you start scheduling things, and then like like classes, and then you like you have to prioritize things like, oh, I can't mess around anymore,
yeah,
so on and so forth, and it just becomes then that's when you realize when you have so much to do, that's when time flies. When you have nothing to do,
yeah.
then it's the slowest thing in the world, and you're just like, man, I just can we
Yeah,
can we
you're
get a
not
move on,
wrong. Yeah,
so,
I'll put
yeah.
it to you this way: 4 more years and I'm 50.
Crazy.
I heard
Doesn't even
four
look
more
like it.
years and he's a young 41.
Yeah, yeah. 4 more years and Dennis will be 32. It's
That's right. That's right.
like, and I
Yeah.
remember my 20s. It's like I told Nikki the other day. I told Nikki, I said, if I would have known now what I know now when I was 20 something, I wouldn't have dicked around like I did. It was
No,
like,
no. Well, I think that's why, like, I think, well, I mean, life kind of paces itself differently for everybody, but I think
yeah,
that's why, it's good to take things into perspective early on, and, regardless of what it is. But yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's just like when I think of what I was doing as a kid, really all I had to worry about was just like, my God, we still got 3 months until Christmas. Like,
uh
it's gonna be forever from now, and
huh.
then I can't wait, just like you said, for the school day to end. I just want to go home and
Yeah,
watch some Yu-Gi-Oh and play some Pokemon on my Game Boy, and
yeah.
but
It's
now it's just like, and you still want to do that now, but now it's a matter of trying to find the time.
yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
so
as you can tell by my gaming list, it's like, yeah, I would
yeah,
love to be able to. I don't have time. Well, I mean, I have time, but it's like I
You
sit
got
down in the
money.
evening time, and it's just like, I want to play something. I'm really tired. I don't
well, that's the
even.
thing. It's like you're so mentally exhausted, right? That it's just like, oh man, this gaming takes just enough mental power that even if it's super casual, like you're still just kind of like, I'm just gonna let me just put
Yeah,
on, Disney Plus or something,
yeah. If it's
So
anything with timing and I'm tired, forget about it. It's just
yeah.
I'm horrible at it. Like the other
Yeah.
day, well, this will lead into the first game, the Trek to Yumi. I tried to play it on uh uh XCloud. And the
Mhm.
first part where it's like, you must parry, it was like, I don't know if I was tired. I don't know if there was a little bit of delay or lag. I could not do it to save my life. And then the other night I came home and I sat down here in the basement on the TV on the controller, did it in like 5 seconds. I was like,
Yeah, it's not hard.
what the
Yeah.
crap? What was that all
Yeah.
about? So, and
Yeah.
then I'm sitting here going, was that just me being hard headed and tired, or was that I blame it on the lag on that little delay on the
Yeah, it is a
streaming. That's what I
small.
blame it on. I don't blame
Yeah.
it on that I'm not very good at games anymore. but
I, it's
but
It's
yeah, go ahead.
definitely no, well, I was just gonna say that like it's definitely like I think just tiredness, honestly, just
Yeah.
because like and that exhaustion because like when I first played Trek to Yomi also, I was kind of in a similar situation where like I didn't necessarily have a problem with the parrying. at least when the tutorial was happening. But later down the line, you do. That game is gonna force you to,
Yeah.
because that game, it wants you to feel and act like a samurai. And if you're just going in hacking and slashing like Dante from Devil May Cry, that's not gonna
Yeah.
work. Like you need to learn, you need to think like a samurai, right? You got to parry, you got to turn around, you got to. That's
Right.
why you kind of have that side-scrolling combat. But I was also in a situation where I had to, but to be fair, it was also like 3:34 in the morning, and I'm just
Well, that'll
just
do it too.
barely
Yeah.
keeping my eyes open, and I'm like, oh man, I kept dying and dying and dying. I'm like, you know what? I don't have the patience for this right now. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm going
Yeah.
to bed. I'm going to bed. But then, like you said, right? Come back the next day, and then no problem, move on
Yeah,
in.
it's like, what the
So,
crap? But, it's
yeah.
like even the other night, I was like, oh, I'll play some Sea of Thieves. And I got so distracted or tired of what. I was just running into rocks. It was like, if anybody was watching, they would just see this boat, like, going right here. And they would probably go, what's that guy doing? What's that guy doing? What's that guy doing? And all of a sudden, my boat just and it goes up and
Were
comes
you
back.
on a
I'm like,
solo
oh,
ship, or were
crap.
you?
What am I doing? It's like, okay. That guy's got the pirate legend moniker. He can't even dodge that rock. It was like,
He paid for that.
yeah,
He paid for that, for
yeah.
sure. He
It's
paid
like
for
the Austin Power thing where the guys on the steamroller is going stop, and he's like
Yes.
4 miles away. He could have got out of the way. It's like,
One of my favorite scenes
yeah,
ever.
that was like me the other night. It's like, okay, I'm shutting it down. Shut it down. Just shut it down.
Yeah.
There's something, my brain's just not going to do it tonight. I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
like, but yeah, that Trek to Yumi. Oh man, that game is so good. The presentation of it is what really makes that game. It's like, I really like it. Of course, if you really like those old samurai movies, you'll love it. But yeah, it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It's
How far roughly would you say you're in it? Did you just
um
play it the other day, or?
yeah, I just played it the other day, like
Okay.
Thursday. So I think
Okay.
I got through chapter 1, maybe halfway through chapter 2, something like that. Maybe I
Okay.
got through chapter 2.
Honestly, not a long. It's honestly not a long game. I think total there was. I'm trying to remember, because I did beat the game.
I think there's 6. Is there 6
Yes,
chapters?
either 6 or
6 or
7.
7.
If there is 7, the seventh one isn't long. It's more of like an epilogue type
Yeah.
thing. So, but yeah, I mean, like roughly each chapter is about more or less the same length. So however long it took you to get through chapter 1 and most through chapter 2, that's more or less what you're going to be looking at per
Oh yeah,
chapter. Like they're
if I
pretty,
played
they're
20
palatable.
minutes to get through that first, maybe not even
I
that
don't know.
long, 15. I don't know. I wasn't paying it. It was like I really wanted something to play, and it's like, yeah, let me boot this up real quick, and then I got really into it, and
Yeah.
then it was getting late, and I was like, yeah, I got to stop, or I'm just going to sit here all night and play, even though I didn't have anything to do the next morning. But it's kind of like
Right.
it's kind of like anymore. It's like, oh, 10 o'clock's rolling around. Oh, I better get my butt to bed. I've
Yeah.
got to get up at whatever time in the morning. It's like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, really, that's literally the only game that that I've really played. I know I don't remember if I'd said a couple on the last show or not, but I did get Pirate Legend on Sea of Thieves.
I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
So did I? Okay, so I played that a couple of weeks ago, but other than that, I really hadn't played anything. I've been dinking around with the Steam Deck, and I finally started. I don't know if you'd call it Game Room 2.0 next on the other side of this wall. Anyway, we've built a movie room is what we did. Last week for 2 days I did nothing but gather up boxes of old stuff that have been setting in the basement for 6 years, just open, where we went through it and kind of went, okay, that's this and grabbed what we wanted out of it. So I organized it all, shoved it in the third room all the way in the back. And
So he never has to look at it.
yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think I'm just saying, for me doing it by myself, I think I did a pretty good job organizing it. I don't usually do that, but I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning one night doing it, and then finished it the next day. But we bought a nice 1080p projector and a 120-inch movie screen, and put it over in the other side, and hooked our Bose surround sound system up to it, and plugged the Fire Stick in, and so we've made a movie room. Now we just need to buy furniture. We have no place to sit other than the floor. It's like,
Welcome to Cartwheel Movies.
Yeah.
We have to keep moving the entire time or get kicked out.
yeah. So it's one of those screens that you can put outside. That's we originally bought it going, well, we'll have the niece and then nieces and nephews over to watch movies this summer outside and stuff like that. But I ended up setting it up down in the basement. It's like, oh, this is really cool. But I'm going to get a screen that actually has a frame that I can hang on the wall that, will be more of I say permanent. It's not really permanent, But yeah, of course I had to hook the Series S up to it just to play a couple games of something just to try it out at 120 inches. So, like I booted up Lego Star Wars and my guy was like this tall. I mean, it was ridiculous how big it was. It was like, I don't think I could play like this on a regular basis. It's like I could do it every once in a while. Horizon, the racing games were insane on it. It was like, nope, can't do that. Tried Sea of Thieves on it. Nope, can't do that. That makes me motion sick. It's way too big. But yeah, so we've only been here 6 or 7 years, and I finally got the other side of the basement cleared out. But yeah, so it's coming along nicely. Sad thing is we're going to spend more on furniture than we're going to spend on the actual screen and the projector to actually be able to sit down here and watch movies. But once I hooked the Bose system up, the dog did not like it at all because
too loud.
Well, yeah, the way the movie that I always try first is, believe it or not, I try Revenge of the Sith, the opening scene.
Oh, cool.
Where it's got the drums going boom, boom, and they're doing that big fly through with all the crazy sounds, and I cranked that thing up to about 80, and my wife's upstairs on the other side of the house, and I said, okay, I'm going to crank this up to about 75 to 80, and let's see if you could hear it. She's like, I could just barely hear it. I'm like, that's good, because down here, my hair was blowing with the sound coming out of it. I was like, yeah, it might be a little too loud, but
You need to try a Speed Racer on that big screen, because both the surround sound and the big screen would be fun for that movie.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I didn't think about that one, so... Yeah, so
probably would make you motion sick though.
Well, yeah, that's maybe. I don't
there's
know.
a lot. It's different with a movie, but yeah, there's a lot of fast moving stuff in there.
It's different when you're going, 24 frames a second than you are when you're going 60 frames a second. So and plus
a little different.
When I'm playing Sea of Thieves, I'm usually got it fast, so I pivot real quick, and on a big screen it's one thing, but on a 120 inch it's like, ooh.
Well, at least in Sea of Thieves you can virtually throw up too. So
that's true. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
The immersion is all set up.
Crazy. This is.
You can smell it for some reason. This is weird.
Yeah. This is the most immersive game I've ever played. It's physically damp when it's like.
I wet myself.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was what I did last week. This week I've done nothing but figure out how to run ROMs on my Steam Deck.
Now, those are games you own.
Yes, they're all games I own. I own every one of these games, which really
shows behind them. Come on, man!
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I own all these games.
That's all the proof you need.
But yeah, so far, what is it that I have installed on here? Dreamcast, GameCube, Genesis, NES, Wii U, Super Nintendo, and PlayStation 2. Of course, I only have 2 PlayStation 2 games on here right now, Ring of Red and ESPN Football 2K5, because you got to have a good football game to play on.
2K5, that's an old one. Jeez.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's still the one of the best football games ever. That's a sad thing. I mean, I still prefer it over any of the Maddens.
I think the only one I really played back in the day, there was one on PS2. It was actually a Madden one, but I can't remember. I mean, they must have been whatever was around at the time. I mean, how long have they been labeling them as 2K?
Oh, jeez. Since the year 2000, so 99.
Oh, okay. Because I think I want to say it was around 2002, because I remember playing one on PS2 that I honestly relatively enjoyed. But yeah, I was always more on the side of even though I don't like sports games in general, I do like the sports games that are more arcadey and fantasy based.
Yes.
I prefer I want the ball to catch fire, like NBA Jam or NFL Blitz and stuff like that. I want that.
Or like
Hits hockey was always a good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, it was fun. Last night I stayed up way too late getting things running. It was actually really easy. They make it's called EmuDeck. It's literally an emulation software for the Steam Deck. So you download it, put it on there, it installs all the emulators for you. When you get your ROMs and you dump them in, there's a ROM manager that you click, and it will pull artwork that it's perfectly suited for the Steam Deck. So like all of them have the nice tile cards, and then like when you click on it, it has the little background, so it looks very professional. Well, and even Nathaniel said, I was wondering how you were playing Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD. It said that on Steam that you were actually playing.
That made me laugh when I saw the screenshot.
Like, oh, I didn't know it did that. It has a connection with RetroArch, so if you have an account with them, you can connect it to this, and like some of the old games have achievements in them, like the old NES games and stuff like that, so it can unlock your achievements on your RetroArch account, which is cool. But honestly, the Wii U's been a pain. For some reason I've only been able to get
thanks Nintendo.
Yeah, I've only been able to get Wind Waker to play on it, but man, it is awesome to play Wind Waker HD on a portable console and not have that double screen, and it looks nice. It's a 1080p, even though it's a.
I wonder how DS games will work on it, just because, like you do have to because I mean I've played a bunch of DS games through emulation and 3DS actually, because there's stuff out there like Citrus and DSMU and stuff like that, but because the Steam Deck has a touch screen on it, I mean, in theory, you could split the screen in half, because emulators do let you do this, where you can have the top screen on your left, then the bottom screen on your right. That's how I played 999 forever ago.
That's what these do. You can have like a little screen down here in the corner for the touch screen, and then the regular game, the top screen fills it, or you can do half and half. I mean, or you could flip back and forth if you want to. You can actually hit like a trigger and make it flip. But I haven't tried it yet. But
okay, because I mean those have gotten like fairly sophisticated over the last maybe 5 to 10 years, but I know the Wii U one's always been a pain. Like, I mean, honestly, I think we've done a better job right now getting a Switch emulator to run than still the Wii U emulator in the short amount of time the Switch has been out compared to the Wii U. So.
Well, and this is supposed to run Switch games really well. It installed the emulator on there. I haven't tried it yet, but I might. But the PS2 games are nice too, because it up-reses them to, you can up-res them to 1080. I have them up-res to 1080p, even though this is a 1200 by 800 screen. It just makes them look a lot crisper and clearer. And they all the PlayStation 2 games run at 60 frames a second. What's funny is all the Wii U games, apparently, well, the ones that I've run, apparently they are capped at 30, which I didn't realize Nintendo had them at their games anyway at 30 frames a second, because they don't run any faster than that.
Splatoon, I remember Splatoon being in 60 frames.
It may be. I don't know. Every one that I've tried out runs at a solid 30 frames, but it doesn't feel like 30 frames. It feels like 60. But I mean, it runs at 30 frames and it's locked, and it never dips. But man, it just looks so pretty on this screen. And it's like, this is. It makes you want them. Well, it makes you want them to put it on the Switch, but But yeah, it's been really cool. It's just been a pain because. It's been a pain for the Switch games, or the Wii U games anyway, because every Wii U game has a CD key built into the disc. So when you would stick it into the Wii U, it would read that key and go, yep, that's a real disc. Yeah. That's the key, it'll work. So you have to have those keys on the emulator to get it to work. And for some reason, I got Twilight or Wind Waker no problem working. Got downloaded Xenoblade, which is 20 freaking gigs.
Xenoblade, don't get me started on Xenoblade. Are you talking about like X in particular?
Yeah.
X? Okay, so like don't get me started on that. I remember when it came out, I was lucky enough to get a physical copy, but even then that wasn't enough, because even if you had a 32 gigabyte Wii U, never mind the 8 gigabyte one that
you got to have an external drive, right?
I didn't. I have one.
You can to a degree, because they actually had a download pack that made for like higher resolution textures and stuff like that. You could download from the eShop and stuff like that. But that added like another 20 gigs to that. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to download this, then yeah, you would need an external hard drive, even because the 32 gigabyte Wii U isn't going to do enough.
Right.
And then never mind the 32 gigabytes, because we all know the OS always takes up some space. So really, you're looking at about 26, 27.
Right.
So if you get a digital copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X, forget it. That's like that's like
Yeah.
that's going to be one of your only games.
And it
on
tells
that
you.
system.
I remember on the eShop it recommended, hey, have extra memory, whether it's an SD card
Yeah.
or an external drive on it, because you're probably going to need it. But
Yeah,
I haven't got those two games to run because I can't get the keys to work, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the text. You got to put them in a text file. The text file is kind of funky, and that's what really took me a long time to get it to work. And all the videos that I've watched, their text files are not like my text file, and I can't make that text file look like theirs.
So here's the interesting thing, because I actually have a modded Wii U, so I wonder if things kind of work theoretically the same way, despite being on a different platform and like it being through a sort of different emulation. But the Wii U was originally region locked, so you still had to get keys. Because I do remember doing a sort of a similar thing. They weren't necessarily keys, but they were like sort of like this sort of index sort of code that linked to the eShop, because they all had their, it is a pain, but like they all had their own sort of like database code basically.
Yeah.
But they were different from region to region. So I wonder if maybe they're not working because your emulator is maybe set for United States and maybe you're looking at a European code. I don't know.
I don't know. I got what they said online was US codes, and the ROM was supposed to be US. So it's like, well, it seems like those match up, but I don't know if it's the emulator or if it's just that stupid sheet text file that you got to put it in, because it uses the emulator was CD. Was it CDUM or something like that? CEMU is the emulator that they use, and I don't know if it's not a native Linux version that's running. It's actually running the Windows version through Proton to make it run on Linux. So I don't know if that maybe has some. I don't know. All the videos that I've ever seen anybody do online, it works no problem, but they don't go quite into depth to go, oh, you have to have a key, and here's the text file that you have to have, and here's what it looks like, and here's because nobody's going to go that far and have Nintendo go It's like, but yeah, I keep fiddling with it. At this point, Wind Waker HD is the one I really wanted anyway, but it was more, I'd like to get Chronicles X on there. I like that game a lot, and try that one out. But we'll see. But yeah, that's all I've been doing. Is just piddling with stuff like that. Just working around the house is really taking up much of my time. But hey, when you get a good deal on a screen and a projector, that gives you motivation to clean up an entire section of the house to actually use it. Whatever gets you motivated.
That works.
Eric, why don't you go ahead and go next? You've only been playing one thing too, so
So I guess I've been playing Tunic. I took kind of a gaming break for a couple weeks. We've been really busy and gone.
Yeah.
So I haven't been playing much, and I was kind of burnt out from Elden Ring. I want to get back in Platinum. I don't know. So anyway, I've been playing Tunic. Definitely scratches an itch. I am probably 2/3 of the way done playing that on Series X. It's or Series S. It's pretty good. I really wish there was a way I could jump. Hands down, that's what that game needs. I need to be able to jump. I keep like, but it's pretty fun. I also discovered there's like an accessibility mode that turns on invincibility.
Yep.
It's like, so yeah, you can turn on invincibility and.
But you don't get achievements when you do that, do you? Or do you?
No, you still get stuff.
Oh, do you? Okay. I thought it disabled the achievements. I couldn't remember what it did. I know sometimes.
Oh, actually, okay, never mind. I was thinking of something else, but yeah, no, you do. I admittedly I had to use that quite a few times. It gets crazy.
The second boss, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to try the invincibility. The unlimited stamina. I don't really need that, but the health.
No, stamina's fine.
Second boss. Yeah, pain in the butt. But yeah, that's about it. It's fun.
Yeah, I like Tunic.
People say it's like Zelda, Dark Souls, but I think it's more of it just scratches that dungeon crawly itch for me, kind of like the exploration.
It does.
Music. Yeah. You got this fox around, hitting things with a stick in the beginning. I was thinking about how when I'm done with this, I should try to find a couple other games kind of like it. So I'll have to dig around that. Oh, look to
Have
you
you
guys.
played Death's Door?
Oh, that store is so good.
Yeah,
I
that
haven't.
store is really good.
It's
Is it on
another
Game?
kind of.
Is it on Game Pass?
I think so.
I don't.
It
I don't
was.
remember.
I'm not sure. It's worth paying for though. I bought it. It was great.
Yeah, and it's not an expensive game
I
either.
bought it too,
but
but it ended up. I think
it's
it ended
another
up
one
on Game
that's.
Pass.
It's
Oh,
another
yeah,
one similar where they're riffing on Zelda and doing
Yeah.
fun things with it.
I like a little bit of dungeon crawling. Ooh, it is on Game Pass. Ooh, I like the art style. Okay, I'll take your.
Yeah.
I'll take your advice.
Instead of a little fox, you're a little bird guy. I think you're a crow, if I remember right.
I could jump on that train. Yeah, but I've been playing it. Plus, got to play the. Just some love. Play it. I'll probably play it. I don't know. Like 2 months ago, I'd say I played my PS5 the most, but now I'm kind of like I would say I play the Switch the least, but I play probably the PS5 that's most PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been doing. The only other thing is I had a massive garage sale recently. Me and 3 guys got together. 2 other guys got together. 3 of us had a yard sale on Friday, Saturday. Around here, lots of people don't work on Fridays. And yeah, had video games and collectibles listed in the ad, and holy cow, a ton of people, and we did very, very good. One of my friends made almost.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you didn't send any pictures, but you said you had a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I'll send you. I'll send you.
And
want me
may
to
send pictures, and then I'll go. Oh man, I would have bought
But
that.
actually, the funny thing is, he had a deal going with a Whatnot seller from Seattle too that was going to buy the leftovers. So no matter what, he was still gonna do really, really well. He had a Genesis, he had a few Super Nintendo stuff. He had a Sega Master System with a couple games, common stuff. So I think you already had this.
Probably.
Genesis was mostly common. There was nothing $20 or $30 game at most.
Yeah.
He had like half of the stuff was complete in box.
I tell you that anymore, it's just it's too expensive. I don't even look. I don't even look for retro games online anymore. I used to. It's like, oh, let me hit up Facebook and say. I don't even look anymore because it's just like everybody wants way too much for them. And I mean, I'm not saying that's not the value of them. I mean, according to all the grading things, those are the values of them. But still,
yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was trying to think. I think on Saturday, some guy showed up and he bought the 360 he had with a couple games. I think he had one S and 2 Ds hard drives, and he bought my PlayStation 3. I had an extra one for another yard sale actually, and it had a sign on it that said HDMI has issues, including AV cable.
Yeah.
The guy didn't even haggle. He just bought everything. He probably spent like $6. He bought a bunch of other games too. And who carries that kind of money at a yard sale?
I don't know, but that seems to be the thing right now. Is people are hacking 360s and PlayStation 3s, and then they're selling them for about twice as what you could sell just a base. Regular system for. It seems to be the thing right now. That's what everybody wants. I don't.
What's even crazier too is like I understand like the PS5 is out, but if you want like PT in particular, people are selling PS4s still with PT installed, since you can't re-download that anymore from the PlayStation Network either. For like, oh my god, $1,000+. It's insane.
I had mine on there. I almost did when I got my PlayStation 4, but I just hit the erase button. Hit the format button.
Like, that's just stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Whether you like it and think it's the best thing ever in the world, it's still not worth $1,000.
No,
come on.
Plus, it's also been ported to PC, and I've played it, and it runs beautifully. It's the same thing. Like it's obviously illegal, but if you want it, it's there.
I mean, it's not a game that ever is.
Point.
To me, that just seems like a gray area. I don't know if I would really.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That's just me personally not feeling bad because
especially since like it was free to begin with. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. No, that's interesting.
And you're just taking it away from everybody. I mean, why don't you just leave it up? Who cares?
Yeah.
Sony.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting just to see lots of people coming in, and we put like no early birds, or early birds paid double, just because I don't want to. All my stuff is priced. My one buddy still had to price his stuff, and I don't just. But when you have a yard sale like that, and you list like games, collectible sale. Oh yeah, my other buddy had a bunch of action figures, wrestling stuff from the '80s. And like He-Man, stuff that, I mean, I know He-Man, but the wrestling, I don't know at all. Yeah. But people showed up to buy that stuff. It was
That's the hotness right now, and the collectible thing is figures,
wow.
new and old. I mean,
Wow.
like I finally got the Bat 6-inch GI Joe. At one point, these were $75 a piece. They're $20 in store. And in fact, when I went to Walmart and bought them, they were $17 in store when they finally got them in stock. But people are buying this crap up and then selling them for 3 times the worth. But
Yeah.
but I'm not paying that for it. Plus, I got 2, 1 regular and 1 battle damage. It's like. Hey, it was my
Your own
favorite.
battle damage.
Hey, he was my favorite GI Joe when I was a kid, and it looks just like the one from when I was a kid. And as soon as I saw it, I went, I gotta have it. And that's the people that are buying the toys now. It's not kids. It's us old guys from the '80s that
The ones with the money now.
Yeah, the
ones-
instead of the
yeah,
kids.
I'm the captain now. It's like,
It was interesting to see people that came to the sale that were looking for particular stuff, and people wanted to haggle, and my buddy wouldn't haggle. Like, I know that guy. He's got a store online. He's just dumping. We're not giving him a deal. Like, yeah, we're not going to give him a deal. People
See,
storm off.
but and you're in that crowd of, I go to yard sales, so I see these guys, I know these guys, I sell online, I see them, yeah, and now I have a yard sale, and they're all coming to me, yeah. It's
like, okay, so there was a guy, a nice guy with a family. He bought a Genesis, like a Model, a handful of like common games, a couple Sonic, a couple sports games, about Mortal Kombat. Buying it for his kids, right? His kids were there, and he's like, I'm going to show him how to play Genesis stuff, and he's looking at my stuff. And I had brought my extra pound cable for Genesis, right? And I said, it's not the best option, but if you want it, throw it in for free. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, here you go, man. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy playing on the modern TV. Enjoy playing Genesis.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the next day, I got on eBay, and a couple of the items that my buddies sold, one of my buddies had a Saturn Kai card. It's a 4-in-1 plus action replay. You know what it does.
Yeah, I've got one.
Game free, right?
Yeah.
It's about a $75 item. He sold it. He's going a different direction. He said he sold it for like $30. He said he's like, I don't care. The guy wanted it, whatever. Because the guy bought a bunch of stuff. Yeah. The next day, I found it on eBay from that guy that bought it. Like $100. I told my friend, I'm like, whatever, dude. We sold it. You got it out of your house. Happy.
Yeah, as long as everybody's happy, who cares? It's like my PlayStation 4 that I sold. I sold it when I got my Pro. I ended up selling my old PlayStation 4. Sold it for $200, and like the very next day, the people that sold it put it right back on Facebook for $250. It's like, that was dumb, but whatever, I mean,
yeah. How much is your time worth?
Yeah, if you think making an extra $50 is a good deal, hey, go for it.
Well, that's the thing. Is this like? I mean, is it really worth? That seems like an exhaustive process too. Just like just doing what is essentially like this domino effect of like, I'll buy it from you. All right, let me put it up, and then another person's gonna buy it from you, and then they'll make it even higher than what they bought it for, and so on and so forth. It's just like there's got to be a cap at some point where it's just
there is. I mean, especially when you're in the same area. I could see it if you were in a different area, maybe demand was a little higher, but when you're in the same area, it's like, why? It's like the guy that owns the really one retro store that we have close. He there for a while, any post that was up, he was buying, and he was cutting deals right and left, undercutting people. And I know there was a lot of deals that I saw that I was taking at face value, and he was coming in and go, well, I'll give you it. And now he has a store full of overpriced stuff, and nobody buys it. It's a store. It's full of awesome things, but they're marked up so high that nobody around here can afford them. If they weren't buying them when they were cheap on Facebook, you think they're going to come to a store and buy them for 2 times what they could have got it for on Facebook? No, they're not. They're just like, I'll go in and look.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
it's a whole subculture.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was good to meet people. We met some other guys in the community that they're in the gaming groups that they were looking for particular things, or they want to talk about doing a trade night in the future and stuff like that. So those guys are cool, and it was good to have the sale, hang out with my friends, sell some stuff.
Yeah, and when we were hard going to yard sales hard around here, I met a lot of guys like that, retro player guys that that I didn't even know were here. So it's always good to have your own and have people come in.
Yeah, I sent you a few of the pictures too. You can look.
Oh, okay. I'll look at
Mostly
them.
just random stuff. Some of the Genesis stuff that I sent, he didn't actually bring. He had put it like in the ad, and he bring it. And he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna save some."
Where was that at? Oh, it went early.
Most people. I had a couple like third party GameCube brought, and I let them go like $5, dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I put them in the ad. People just asking, "You have other GameCube games?" And I was like, "Oh man, I don't. This is what I have: a couple controllers. I think maybe I have a memory card in this box."
Ooh, man, what is that? Is that Sonic 2? Is that 125? Or is that? Man, that one's really went up in price.
Yeah, there's most. Yeah, all those prices on his stuff. That's my buddy with the sticky notes.
Yeah.
I'll send some of them.
Look at all those boxed
all that
NES games. Jeez.
It all went. He couldn't. People were literally throwing cash at him. And he was making deals too. He was like, and this is all stuff that he picked up from a huge lot. Like I want to say several months ago.
Oh, is he the one that you sent all those pictures to me before? And it was like, look at all this. Yeah, and he bought
out a big collection from like a guy that had it in the garage and filth, just gross stuff. He had to spend a lot. He had not picture of the bunch of the games he spent hours and hours cleaning. Like he bought all these this huge stack of PlayStation. And they had been like kept in an area that got a bunch of blood damage, so the case was like covered in dirty, sticky water. He said he spent like hours and like steaming the manuals and stuff. And he said he had to toss.
Wow, yeah, I've been there and done that. So that's
it was good. His stuff brought in a lot of customers, and it was good.
Yeah, cool.
People were happy.
Yeah, it looked like there was a lot of good stuff there. So. All right, Nathaniel.
That's it. I'm done, gents.
What you got here? What is V Rising? I've never heard of it.
V Rising is the new early access hotness on PC or something. I saw a video or two on it, and it came out this week. So I was like, it's $20, so I decided to try it out because it's pretty polished for a early access game. Was its reputation, and it kind of is. It's got some stuff in there like that's missing, like settings wise. That'd be like, hey, it'd be nice to have a mouse sensitivity slider. That'd be cool, but
like,
whatever.
I think we got an email from them about a review code, and I didn't because it's on PC, so it's kind of hard.
V Rising is kind of like a cross between a survival game like Valheim or a million others plus Diablo.
Yeah.
Like an ARPG kind of thing, because you play as a vampire, so they flip the kind of day-night cycle backwards, so the more time is at night, and then you have daylight hours that you have to stay in the shadows, or you burn in the sun, because you're a vampire. And, there's some stuff with, like, gear and other things you can do to kind of give you more resistance so you can be out in the sun a little bit longer before it starts just destroying you, because good lord. Like anytime you step in the sun, you just get like kind of this lens flare looking thing that gets brighter and brighter for a few seconds before you actually start taking damage. So you're like running from one spot to the next to kind of get to another shaded area or something if you get caught out somewhere. But if you don't, it just starts burning away your health very quickly, and you can hardly see anything on the screen because it's gotten really, really bright. So, be careful in the sunlight because you're a vampire.
Yeah, I've got the PR emails from this because it caught my attention because it said it was PvE and PvP with servers up to 40 people. I was like,
yeah, you can pick what kind of way you want to play. I'm playing by myself on my own thing with nobody else on it because I didn't care. So they have different flavors. You can do PvE where you can't do any damage to other players and you can't like loot their bases or anything. You can do regular PvP where you can fight people and do damage and you can loot certain things. Then there's like a even more hardcore version where I think that your whole base can be looted out and destroyed and all sorts of stuff. And then they have, I think, like I don't know if they're actually active or not because I haven't looked at because I don't care about the multiplayer side of it, where you can do kind of like duos or something where you pair up or whatever, so everybody's like paired up with people, or you can do one where you're all by yourself. So I don't know, like on the regular ones you can set up clans so you can group up with people, all kinds of kind of typical stuff that you might see in those kind of games. I don't know how well that works because I haven't been doing that. I've just played about maybe 4 or 5 hours of it so far by myself, just on my own, server thing. You can go click and just be like, hey, start your own server. Apparently, they're going to be adding offline play as well at some point because a lot of people have been like, hey, why can't you play offline if you want to play by yourself?
Right.
So at some point, theoretically, that will come in. And, it's still early access, so there's going to be a bunch of different stuff they're going to be adding.
Yeah.
But anyway, like you said, you play as a vampire, but you also are chopping trees and knocking down stone and other things to get materials. And you're running around the map, and there's like different areas you can find, like a wolf den or a bandit camp or a creepy graveyard that has skeletons in it, and each area has like different enemies and different kind of loot drops that you can get there. And then at this point, I think there's 30 or so mini bosses in the game, and the part of the way you progress and get new powers is you go and kill one of these mini bosses. They give you like a new, unlock a new vampire power or this or that. So I've only done one. I killed a wolf, and now I have wolf form, which is nice because it lets you travel faster across the map.
It looks
So-
really cool.
Yeah, so it's set up kind of like it. Well, I say it's like Diablo's. The camera is that isometric thing, and you can kind of zoom in and out a bit, you can tilt a little bit. I wish it tilted more than it lets you, but that's something that maybe they'll adjust over time, or maybe they're just like, no, this is what we want to do. I don't know. But you're running around. Unlike, say, Diablo, though, you're not doing a bunch of inputs through just clicking. There's a lot of different controls, so you're doing your keys to walk around, and your mouse is kind of like aiming. So you have to aim, like if you're casting a spell, you have to point it where you're going. You can't just like lock onto an enemy. You have to like aim for it. And then you have different weapons like swords or spears that do different things. And then as you upgrade them and get better swords and spears, they have special moves. So I just crafted a spear earlier today that's do the special move, and it's just like rapid fire jabs, just like and then it's on a cooldown. So like a lot of the abilities are on cooldowns. You have like a magic casting thing where you have like a you shoot out kind of like a little weird projectile thing. It does damage. And then you have like a little vampire dash thing, and all these things are on cooldown, so you can't just like spam them.
Right.
So if you're in the middle of a bunch of guys and then you dash away, but then they surround you again, you have to wait a few seconds before you can try and dash away again. But yeah, you don't have XP in the game. All your progression is through kind of like survival game things where you're like, say, Minecraft or whatever, you start with wooden tools and you get stone tools and then you get iron tools. It's similar to that where you get better gear from finding new crafting materials so that you can now craft this cooler gear, so which means you can go to this other area because you have better weapons and armor, so that now you can get different materials so that you can craft even better gear, and that's kind of how the progression in the game works. And then you also have base building type stuff in there, so you have kind of this I forget what they called it, but it's like the heart of your base that you have to give it blood essence, which matters if you're on like a full server that's on all the time, because it's basically consuming it, and then if it runs out of this material, then your base will start to decay. But if you're on by yourself, then it doesn't matter because the server is paused when you're not on it. So if nobody's on it, time isn't running.
I gotcha.
Because I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. Let me put a bunch of stuff in here. So it's like, hey, 30 hours of time. And then I get back on earlier today. I was like, still 30 hours left. I'm like, okay, so that's good to know. It's not running while I'm away. But yeah, you get different, it's kind of like a tile-based system where you have that and you have to expand a border. So you craft a thing that kind of allows you to build your walls, your floors, your crafting stations, your lumber mills, anything that you're doing to kind of like process different materials or whatever you get. And then as you upgrade your main heart of your base thing, you can expand it even further and you get more materials and make cool stone walls. And I've only gotten a little bit into that so far because playing by yourself, it takes time to do a lot of these things. And like I said, I've only played about 4 hours of it or so. Enough to get like a taste of it.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it looks
So
really neat.
Yeah, I saw like a video on it
Definitely
from
definitely
like
was scratch an itch for me. That's for
Yeah, like Skill Up put a video out on it like the day before it came out in early access, and I watched a couple of things, and one of my friends started playing it too, and so I was like, okay, I'll spend $20 on that to try it out, and then it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
be curious to see kind of what they add to it over time.
Yeah, it looked real interesting in the email that they sent.
Yeah. So like you have things in there too of like, hey, if you want to get extra of your stuff when you're harvesting, so if you're chopping down trees, you need to use your axes because they give plus 25% to damage or yield or something or other, whatever word I'm looking for trees. You can still knock it down with your big hammer, but it doesn't give you as much stuff. So you use the hammer on stone or minerals, and then you use the sword to cut grasses, or you use the spear for killing creatures because you get, it gives you more resources and stuff to do that. So yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot more weird stuff as you get into it, like crazy powers, because you have all sorts of like different classes of magic in the upgrade tree. There's like 5 or 6, I think, different types of magic that you can eventually do.
Oh,
I haven't unlocked none of it. So yeah, it's like it looks like it's a pretty big map too.
I've been wanting to get V Rising because I've had some press releases recently sent to me, and like every time I get a new one, I keep looking into it more, and I'm just like, should I? Because like, part of me wants to request a review code, but I'm doing so much at the moment that like I just don't know. But it's early access, so I don't want to judge something so early on. But it looks great, and from what you're saying, it sounds really
yeah.
good.
You put the early access lens on it, and you're like, okay, it still feels like there's some stuff in here that like, okay, you could tell that it's like they're probably going to expand on this or something in the future. But there's a lot in there already, and like the user interface and all that stuff is really well done. It runs fairly well, at least on my machine, and it's way better than a lot of early access games are. Yeah, for sure. So
I just love vampires in general too. So
yeah, so it's been out since Tuesday, I think it came out, and it's already, I think before, like I think I saw something yesterday on Friday that it's already over 500,000 people have gotten it. So it's not quite as runaway immediately hit as something like Valheim was,
but also
like immediately, but it's still building that, and it's going to steamroll enough that.
I also feel like with a lot of early access games too, something like Valheim, like those are what you wish to hit, but more often than not, that's not going to be the case. So like, that's
but it's
hard to
still kind of like it feels like it's the indie game for the moment, kind of like Valheim was, just not quite to the same degree, at least yet.
Right.
Yeah. And like any of those, like if they continue and do well, and then they come out on with their 1.0 release, that gets them another big bump of players. So it's going to do pretty well. I'm not sure how big the studio is.
It said in the press emails that I've been getting, they're a Swedish studio, so I think they're fairly small.
I know nothing about it, but it seems like everybody, whenever they're talking about V Rising Online, are always mentioning Battle Right because that's the last game that they did.
Stunlock Studios is the name of them.
Yeah, and like apparently Battle Right was really cool, but then they like screwed over the community with it somehow. So there's a lot of people in YouTube comments being all like, "Oh, I'll never trust them again," and other people like, "Oh, it's a different game, whatever." It's just like, okay, I'll ignore that because I don't care.
Yeah, I mean it's a second chance. It's a different game, and maybe hopefully they'll take some of those learnings and teachings and.
Yeah, I didn't even know the context of it either. I was just like, okay, I've seen the name Battle Right. I have no idea what it was other than some sort of like a multiplayer combat something game. I don't know.
I mean, it's not like this isn't a situation like but it's not like a situation like what is it Evolve, right? It's not like that where that studio is like they didn't learn a damn thing. So.
And who knows? Maybe they haven't. I don't know. But if the people's problem with it seems to be on the multiplayer side of things, that I'm ignoring anyway, so it's fine. If I get some, hours enjoying this kind of survival, whatever vampire game, that's all I really wanted out of it. So I will surely have that because there's quite a bit of stuff in there to do that I have not gotten to yet, even though it's early access. So other than that, I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West. Play a few more hours of that again since last time. Slowly expanding my map west. I think I've got about 2/3 or so of it kind of uncovered. Not fully explored, but just like, hey, I did that tall neck, so now I can see a big chunk of the map that
Yeah.
I couldn't see before. I've done. I haven't gone back to the base to like complete it yet, but I just finished the third of kind of 3 big main missions that you get kind of early on, where it's like, hey, you have these 3 things, go do them, in whatever order you want. So I just did the third of those, and I have to go back into the base and turn it in and trigger whatever the next big story beat is. But instead, I'm like, I'm gonna go run off here into the middle of the desert and do this weird Vegas side quest. That's one weird thing about this game is they've actually named places by their real names.
Okay,
So
yeah.
like San Francisco and Vegas have been mentioned. I don't remember if
I don't
there's
know how I
any
feel
other
about
one.
that.
It's not often, and it's only more like in the context of like, hey, Aloy knows this stuff because she has access to all the extra,
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
that the focus, and then there's more characters that have focuses as well in this game. So it's not like everybody's running around like, hey,
Welcome
let's
to
go
Vegas.
here. This place
You
that we
haven't
knew
seen
what it
George
was.
Washington in a minute. Where you been? where you been? I moved to New York. Oh, okay, okay.
Well, and then like the Vegas one, it doesn't even call it that until you know that it is from basically you playing it, because you get there and it's in the middle of the desert, and it's kind of like, your story mission took you there, and then you go through all this stuff underground, and then you come back out and all these like hologram lights have been turned on, so it's like the middle of the night. Scripted to be that way, I'm assuming, so that when you come back outside, it's like, look at all these crazy lights and things everywhere.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I get it. And you're like, when you're underground, you're going through some like ruined casino, basically, kind of a thing. So if you're thinking even a little bit, you're pretty much putting 2 to 2 together. It's like, oh,
Right.
this is supposed to be Vegas, even though it looks nothing like it because it's all under the sand. That's what it's supposed to be.
It's the Resident Evil Extinction version. God, I hate that movie, but we won't talk about that.
Which number was that? I
I
don't
don't
remember.
know.
Is that the 4th one?
4, yeah.
I
That's
never
four.
got past 1.
Was it?
so-
No, sorry. That was the third one. That was the third one, actually, because there was...
Third one? Oh, wait, yeah, this is the
Those-
third one. You're right. You're
yeah.
right.
Because that's the one that I skip all the time. The fourth one I actually liked a lot. But that third one is the worst one. I don't want to acknowledge that one. I hate that one. Forget that movie.
I've seen that one once, I think.
Pretty
I've
sure I've seen
seen
most
a
of
lot of the
them.
other ones more
Even
than
that's
once.
too much.
The second one's my favorite.
Yeah, that one's good.
Mostly because the monster makeup in that one was fun, and they're not all CG in that movie yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yet.
Yeah.
Because they certainly went that route with that movie series. Yeah, that's what I'm playing.
All right, Dennis, you're up. I can't wait to hear about
Yeah.
Evil Dead. It sounds
we'll get to that one.
riveting and exciting that I'm glad I didn't
Well,
buy it.
I'll-
Riveting.
So okay, well, we'll
Sounds like a rip-off
Yeah.
game. With give us some of that piece of that pie that we see these other games being popular. Hey, we've got this brand. Let's do it. That's what
Yeah.
it seems like.
That's what I was
Yeah.
afraid
Is that
of.
the
with
case,
it.
Dennis? Is that the case?
I was afraid of that too, but I'm gonna keep everyone on their toes because I'm gonna save that one. I'm gonna
Okay,
save that one
alright,
for like
alright.
towards the end because the
Okay.
other ones are shorter games. That's the one I've spent the most time on out of everything that I've played.
Gotcha. Okay.
But let me get through the short ones and then because I really want to sink in deep with that.
All right.
one. So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Well, I'll wait.
Get his teeth into that tasty Evil Dead.
delicious taste of decomposition and rigor mortis. It's
rigor
perfect.
mortis.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'll start off with so a lot of these games have been recently coming to Game Pass, and I've just been playing a lot of Game Pass stuff lately. Game Pass just been killing it lately. So
Oh,
I've
yeah.
just been playing a lot of stuff from that. I know you mentioned Trek to Yomi earlier, John. The reason why I didn't put it on here is because I figured like one of you would have talked about it. But yeah, because I mean I did beat it since the last time I talked about
Gotcha,
it, and
okay.
yeah. It is an amazing game. I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic, and yeah. But we already talked
I
about
got
that.
done playing it. I got done playing it at 3:00 in the morning. I sent my buddy a message, and it was like, "Yeah, you're going to want this game. You'll like it."
Yeah. It's great. It's great. But yeah. So another indie game though that came out recently. This one's more of a Kickstarted game. This one's called A Yuden Chronicle Rising. I've been playing a little bit of that. Haven't put too many hours into that, but reason being is because when this game got announced, it was announced as like a 2-part game, right? So this game, there's a Yuden Chronicles Rising, And then there's a second one called the Yuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. That one doesn't come out until 2023, though. So they pretty much were developing 2 games in tandem, and this was the first of the 2 games. I don't know if they're related. I don't believe so. I think they're 2 completely separate games, but they take place in a similar universe. So this one's more of a side-scrolling RPG versus the other one, which is more of like an actual, just more detailed RPG. They're still RPGs, but the way they're sort of um, portrayed and the gameplay and the mechanics are very, very different. So, but yeah, I've been playing a little bit of it, and I, it's one of those games where it's unfortunate that when you see so much promise in a game on an artistic level, and then you begin to play it and you realize, oh, they have the artistic prowess and they have a lot of talent at the studio, you can absolutely tell, but something happened in the course of not necessarily development, but something happened in the course of just designing the gameplay where they kind of felt inexperienced. Because the gameplay overall to me feels very shallow, for lack of a better word. You are going to have your typical sort of RPG um, um, mechanics in there, so you have a skill tree, right? You have a team of or a party of 4 or 3, and and you just kind of go throughout this adventure. The game's not particularly grindy, which I appreciate. Not like Echo Generation, which I talked about a couple podcasts ago. So it's definitely playable for even short bursts. But this was a game that I expected to put in like hours into, like per session, not just overall, but per session. But I ended up finding myself only actually spending about 30 to 45 minutes at a time playing this game because I eventually got to a point where I got bored, honestly, and it's sad to say, but even though I'm enjoying my time with it, because it has a lot of charm, but even though I'm enjoying my time with it, I'd be lying if I didn't say that it didn't feel generic, right? And it does. It just kind of loses its soul after a while, and I hope it's not a particularly long game because the game's not expensive either. It's like $15.
Yeah, it's $15. I'm looking at Steam right now.
Yeah. So, but thankfully I'm playing it through Game Pass, and I play a little bit on the Series S, then play a little bit on the Series X, then play a little bit on the cloud actually, and I think it definitely fits the most on the cloud. So I'm sure people who are playing it,
Okay.
yeah, but primarily because I'm using the Kishi sort of, the gamepad. So
Well, let me just get up my streaming machine here, and let me just.
Let me tell you.
I've been very interested in it. I just haven't booted it up yet. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I haven't played. I hadn't.
Yeah,
put
it'll
it
get
up
you
on
in
Steam.
really quick. Like it's not one of those RPGs that 'cause a lot of RPGs do this, where it's just like let's spend an hour and a half either going through this dialogue or all these
Yeah.
cutscenes before you actually get to play the game, and stuff like that. And even though I'm a fan of that type of stuff, it does get to a point where some games I'm just like, God, just let me play,
Yeah, when
please.
I'm very limited on time, I don't
Exactly.
like that. There's one game that was on Game Pass. I guess it's still there. That came out a couple months ago. That I was like, ooh, that Eternity something.
Oh, okay.
What was it
Yes, I actually got
called?
a code for this. Not Eterna Rising, is it? Or let me see.
Oh gosh, now I'm gonna have to look through there and see what it
Eternal.
was because
I have it in my emails. Let me check.
I went to play it and it was just forever to get started, and it was I couldn't take it anymore. It was like, no, I'm done. Oh, what was that called? And I'll probably never find it. It aggravates me when I can't remember. When I can't remember things, and now I can't get my fingers to work.
Edge of Eternity.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Let me look at that game. I couldn't play it. It was the first few minutes. I mean, it took forever for it to get started. It was a long cutscene. Do a little, go 4 feet. Now another cutscene. The voice acting was not good in it.
Sounds like they named it accurately then.
Yeah. And it was like, at the time, it was like, no, I just want to play. I've got an hour. an hour and a half. I don't have time to sit and listen to 45 minutes of dialogue and 10 minutes of gameplay. I just don't. It's like, and then I started playing. I was like, this is not that great. I waited 45 minutes to finally get into it, and then I was like, uninstall. It's like.
I installed it with the intention of playing it. I actually never booted it up. I uninstalled it the other day, actually, so it's funny you bring this up. Just because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get around to this, but basically a lot of the criticisms that I heard echo what you've been saying, especially with the voice acting. There just hasn't
it
been
was
that good.
horrible. Oh, it was bad.
So, but yeah, I got sent a code for some reason. I didn't ask for one, but I just got sent one. But I was looking forward to it, so that's why I redeemed it, and I was going to play it before I even realized it was going to be on Game Pass. But my biggest problem with games like this is exactly what you just said, where it's like, if you're going to give me a cutscene, and I'm finally playing, and I walk 4 feet and another cutscene starts, why did you end the cutscene to begin with?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the worst.
Why? That's the part that drives me the most crazy out of any game. This isn't just an RPG thing too. I've seen this happen in a lot of other games, platformers, adventure games.
Yeah, I have too.
And it could be anything from the indie to the AAA. We've seen it.
It's everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere.
And
so
if it's Uncharted or something, if it's something interesting, then fine. Final Fantasy.
But
has
even
this
Uncharted
problem.
doesn't do that.
No,
so.
but no, it doesn't. But I'm using them as I'm using them as an example.
There's a lot of games that'll do that, where it seems like what they're doing
play.
is, we want to put some gameplay here, but their idea of gameplay is walking 4 feet. That's not gameplay, guys.
Right.
Stop doing that.
That's one of the things that's turned me off of a lot of the Final Fantasy games. The newer Final Fantasy games, they're like that. It's just, I sit down, I watch this huge scrolling opening scene, the credits roll, and then I'm like, okay, here I'm going to play. Nope, I got another 10 minutes of dialogue talking about this going back and forth, and we're walking outside, and we're going to do this. Oh, we're attacked. When am I going to get to play this game? And it's like, you know what? I'm 40 minutes into it, and I've played 5 minutes. I'm out. I'm done. I don't care if it's... it aggravates me. Yeah. I don't got time for that crap anymore. I just don't.
No, it's, and it's like, again, I don't mind long cutscenes. If anything, I love them. But again, the part that annoys me the most is when a cutscene is over, regardless of how you feel about it, and then you're finally in control, but to walk just a few feet only for another one to start, my God. And I say this time and time and time again, why did you let me go into control if you weren't ready to end that cutscene just yet?
You're
you
not
want to make it
Gear.
interactive, fine. But it drives me up the wall. It really does.
Yeah. And that's what turned me off of that one game. It was like, no. And that's what I was afraid of with this one. It's like, and so every time I was very hesitant to go, let me know. No, I don't have time for it. Let me know.
This one's definitely, this one's a lot more streamlined. And chances are you've played games like this before too, where they take more of a side-scrolling aspect to RPGs.
Yeah.
You do have a hub world you go into, but you're going to be visiting a lot of different places. And honestly, I like the art direction a lot. Like the art, like the illustrations and everything are fantastic.
It's really nice.
Yeah. But again, I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel a little bit generic, which is why, unfortunately, I've only been able to put 30 to 45 minutes at a time while playing this, because it does get to a point where I'm just like, everything feels either cliche or like I've done this before. And it's like, whenever I play a new game, I want a new experience, right? Like, it doesn't need to feel unique. You don't need to be, not every game needs to be some weird Kojima game, right? But but I just want, I want you to immerse me. I want it to be captivating, and I want you to give me a reason to keep playing. And if this feels almost like a reskin of something else that I've played, then that's when things start to become a little,
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that is kind of the case here. But again, there's enough charm, and the gameplay is fluid enough that I do want to stick with it. But I haven't been putting anywhere near as much time as I thought I would have, because I was ready to spend. Like, I was like, oh, this will be my next big indie RPG. I'm gonna put hours into this game, really enjoy it. Again, unfortunately, not the case. But but it is what it is.
I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah, it's worth a try. It's worth a try. There's definitely dialogue, but again, it don't. Yeah, it's not gonna be like Edge of Eternity. You'll be able to. Play
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was worried about that too.
I'm not asking for Academy Award winning voice acting, but I would like something a little better than a bad dub of a Japanese movie.
Well, here's the thing. Right. Well, here's the thing. I'll do you one even better. Where, if you can't get good voice acting, it's okay to get no voice acting at all. And that's the
Exactly.
case
Yeah.
here, right? Where like there is no voice acting, so it feels very old school too. And I
Yeah.
love that retro RPG feel. So it's just going to be dialogue. So any voice you hear is strictly in your head.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not,
Cool. Yeah. I'm fine with
yeah. So
that.
you can make your own voices if
Oh,
you
good.
want.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill to voice the main character who's a 16-year-old girl.
Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah. She'll
So
sound
you can do
exactly like the Joker.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's one of the games I've been playing on Xbox Game Pass. Another one which has not been on Xbox Game Pass, but also a fairly newer game, newish. A game technically came out almost 10 years ago.
Right.
So, which by the way, if you haven't played it since then, you're about to get an achievement,
Mhm.
because I'm talking about the Stanley Parable. The newest one that just came out is called Ultra Deluxe, and it's so funny how they named it. I don't want to spoil it because if you've played Stanley Parable before, you know how ridiculous that game is. It's so good. It's amazing, that game. It's fantastic. But
It's a
that
very,
game,
very funny game.
it is hilarious. It's very self-aware. It's very witty. But it's also good at the same time. And it's probably one of the most clever. I mean, could you call it a walking simulator? I don't know. I feel like you could get away with it.
Kind
Like,
of, but yeah.
yeah, like
You're very much playing the Stanley Parable to walk through it and hear what the voiceover guy is narrating, what you're doing,
yeah,
and finding all the weird Easter eggs. And
yeah,
like, okay, now this time through, what if I go down this hallway instead? That kind of stuff. It's very
yeah,
much about the comedicness in both the voiceover and then what you're doing and how it interprets what you're doing, that kind of thing.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is essentially a remaster that also includes console ports of the game. Um, and there's so much more to it, but again, it's so self-aware, right? Because when you think of Ultra Deluxe, you think of a lot of games that now abuse those terms where you see deluxe editions, right? Or like, though they put Ultra as almost like this definitive package, in a
And
particular.
when you say Ultra Deluxe combined like that, it immediately makes me think Ubisoft because they have a Deluxe and then they'll have like an Ultra Deluxe, or
Yeah.
Yeah,
even EA does
the
this sometimes.
ultimate and
Yeah,
yeah,
like they
ultra.
don't have just one. Like as dumb as it is, it kind of sort of makes sense to have a regular and then a Deluxe edition, even though all you're getting is
Sure.
some stupid skins or whatever. Call it
Yeah.
that. But if you're doing like 3 or 4 different editions on a game right when it comes out, it's like, come on.
Ubisoft has like 7 or 8 different editions for the same SKU. It is wild. It is
Mm-hmm.
wild. They'll do
Yeah.
that. It's wild. But Stanley Parable pokes a lot of fun at games like that, right? A lot of remasters and remakes that use those terms. And again, I don't want to spoil it because it's a great game, and if you love Stanley Parable, you're gonna love Ultra Deluxe because again, it's self-aware and it makes fun a lot of those sorts of a lot of that terminology is made fun of, right? And it's not immediately apparent. Like when I was first playing it, I was like, this is identical to what I was first playing. But then you start to get into the extra content, and the way they give you that extra content is so good. It is because it's not done in a traditional sense, and that's about as far as I'll say. Because again, if you love Stanley Parable, please do yourself a favor and play Ultra Deluxe because it's just so good. Um, and they take a lot of the criticisms that people had of the original game, people who just didn't like that sort of experience and the way that game sort of you know played out. And again, they implement them, but not necessarily as fixes, but as as they acknowledge the criticisms in their own way, but not by actually fixing the issues of the original game.
Uh,
They do it in a way where it's almost like, okay, so like
yeah.
that's kind of how they take those criticisms, but in a much more apparent way. And it's again the fourth wall breaking and the self
Yeah.
awareness, and it's just all so brilliantly written. It's fantastic. I bought it on Xbox, played it there. I couldn't put it down. It was so good, and but again, it also has that crazy achievement. I got 9 out of the 11 achievements that it has because the other 2 are almost impossible to get. Okay, so sorry. One of the two isn't as impossible, but the second one you literally can't help because it also wants you again to wait to not play the game for 10 years. Okay. So I'll
Can't
come
you
back.
disconnect your system and set the clock up? Will that unlock it?
Technically, yes. Technically, yes. I tried doing that, but it didn't work for me. There's a weird specific way to do it because I did look it up, and some people have been successful, some people haven't been.
Gotcha.
But it works better on PC. Trying to do it on the Xbox was a little finicky.
Gotcha.
I haven't been successful in it yet personally, but I know it's much easier to do on PC. But yeah, on Xbox it's a little harder. But the other one is um you have to play for the game for the entirety of a Tuesday. So basically have that game running for 24 hours straight from 12 a.m. Monday leading into Tuesday until 12 a.m. Leading into Wednesday.
That's
Basically.
great.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, otherwise I was able to get the rest of the achievements that were as accessible as they could be. And yeah, otherwise I'm gonna have to see you guys. We'll talk about it in 2032.
All
Yeah,
right.
2032. So I'll revisit it. But yes, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. It's a great game. If you love the original, you're gonna love this one. But again, you need to prepare yourself not for disappointment because it does not disappoint, but prepare yourself for. Again, the Ultra Deluxe part of this game is more so to poke fun of all the remasters, remakes, and sort of editions that come out now of games that utilize these terms, right? And because it is a remaster, it used both of those terms simultaneously, even though you usually see them, being used one or the other. But there's a reason, and there is new content. There's new content, and it's really funny. But you need to set your expectations.
Right.
And I think if you do, you're gonna fall in love with it all over again. If you don't, and you go in expecting a Stanley Parable, but with like 10 hours of more content, not gonna happen. Sorry to disappoint you, but
Didn't you have 10 hours of content in the first place? Because it was a
well,
pretty
yeah,
short game when it first came out.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's great. In addition to that, I've been playing another short game. Actually, speaking of short games, a game called Neon Lore. Oh man, this game. Let me condense this because this game's not long, so I'm not gonna speak about it for long. This game sucks.
And moving right along. Wait, what?
Yeah. This game is trash, man. It is it. They took. I think they tried to cap.
Now,
Go
hang
ahead.
on. Time out. Wasn't this the one that you had a giveaway for 2 codes?
I did. Yeah. I had a giveaway.
I had to pull up the thing to see the name. I was like, that sounds familiar.
I had a giveaway, and so here's the thing about that. I didn't ask to do a giveaway. The publisher who's nice enough. This was Playism, by the way, which I like Playism a lot. Actually, they release good content, but this one was a miss, and they sent me 2 extra codes, and they were like, hey, if you want, here's one for yourself, but here's 2 more if you want to do a giveaway. I was like, perfect. So, we'll do that. They were just like, look, just be sure to tag us so we can retweet it, and, more people will see it, so on and so forth. I was like, perfect, we'll do that. So I did it, and but that was before I played it, and then I ended up playing it, and I was like, oh boy, like, God bless whoever wins this giveaway because they're gonna. I'm probably gonna get blocked after this because like, this game's not good. Basically, without me just kind of ranting on, the game is. It tries to fool you by the images that are in the store, right? The images that are in the store that usually show you this beautiful cyberpunk environment, right?
Yeah.
And the environment, credit where credit's due, is actually really nice. However, there's nothing to interact with except for the people that stand around. And when I say stand around, they are literally standing around. They have little to no animations. And when you walk up to them, there's a big text box that shows up next to them, and you read their lore, and that's it. Hence the lore part of Neon Lore. But that's it. And then you walk around from like 3 or 4 separate locations in this sort of cyberpunk city. And they're not big locations, and you can enter maybe one building in each location where you'll find an extra set of lore. And there's the most gameplay this has is basically you do these short, small, super easy puzzles that unlock a sort of audio codec or audio log, sorry, and they're horribly voice acted and they're not interesting at all. And so it got to a point where like I read the first 2 or 3 text boxes and I was like, this sucks. And so I started going around and I just started walking up to each person really quick because the moment the text box pops up, even for half a second, you can walk away. The reason why I did that is because I thought about I thought about it and I was like, well, this game has achievements and there's literally nothing to do in this game. How much do you want to bet? These achievements are literally just so long as you talk to people, you'll get achievements.
Right.
Sure enough, that was it. So I ran through this game in maybe 45 minutes, got a thousand gamer score, and then that was it.
So
This
it's
game
worth $6 for the gamer score if you're just.
I suppose, yeah. If you're,
I can
if you're
walk
looking,
around.
If you're an achievement hunter, $6.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, and it's not bad for that. I mean, look, I walked away happy because of that. But mind you, what about something like Switch? Because this game is available on Switch that has no achievements. I'd be miserable. I'd be so angry if I played this on Switch. You know what I mean? But at least I got something out of it. I got a 1,000 gamer score out of it. So like, as someone who does love their achievements, I can't be too mad.
For
You know?
$6, maybe I would
But-
do that.
Yeah. So actually, I'll I have an extra code, John. I'll send you one.
Oh,
Actually.
okay. Well, yeah,
but
I'll
yeah,
walk around
yeah.
for 45 minutes to get 1,000.
45 minutes, John. I promise you.
I did the same thing with what was that on the 360 Airbender?
That's even shorter.
You
do that.
just walk at the beginning and you start shooting things and you just see
Yeah.
achievements just start going bing bing
Yep.
bing 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 and
Yep.
it's like 5 minutes. It's like 1,000. Okay, I'm done. Didn't even get out of didn't walk 2 feet. Got 1,000.
No.
All right.
I tried playing. I actually did that about a week ago, actually, because I had that game installed for a while.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for it to go on sale again, because I wanted to do that. I heard it was like an easy achievement game.
Let me
So
tell you
it
how
does-
I did it. I was working at GameStop and I checked it out for the night and
Oh wow!
played it for 5 minutes and brought it back the next day.
I think it was on sale for like all of like $1.49 on the Xbox store.
Totally
like,
worth it.
yeah. Oh yeah. I was happy with it. I mean, look, I mean, look, I'm not
And
an
it is a
Avatar
fun
guy.
game if you actually play it. It is a fun game, but
I did try playing a little bit more, actually, like admittedly, and it was fine. But here's the thing: the reason why I stopped because I'm not an Avatar guy. I much prefer Legend of Korra. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Korra guy, so just I like the more like adult themes and things like that. But
Right.
Avatar is just too. You can tell the demographic is more for children, so it's just not. It doesn't click with me personally. But yeah, I literally did it just the other day. I mean, you can see I'm if you look at the gamer score rankings, I'm #1 at the moment for the month. Because I have like almost 4,000 plus gamer score for the month, and one of the reasons being because of
that.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then another reason being for Neon Lore. So but yeah, I played that. Yeah, you spam B for a little bit because all the achievements is like you just reach a certain amount of combos and
Yep.
that's it.
That's
That's
it.
it. So
yeah,
and then
it was
once you reach
hilarious.
50, you're good.
Yeah.
Super easy. But yeah, anyways, Neon Lore, it sucks. It's garbage. But if you want easy 1,000 gamer score, hey, or an easy platinum if you're on PlayStation, hey, might be worth your $5 or $6.
Sure.
There you
Don't get
go.
it on Switch. Don't get it on Switch. It's terrible.
Nah.
But yeah, in addition to that, also on Xbox, I've been playing a little game called Recompile. I was a little reluctant to start this game at first because it didn't look. I try not to judge a book by its cover, right? But sometimes you can look at screenshots and just kind of know right away what you're kind of getting yourself into. Recompile was interesting because I was expecting something more along the lines of like a super arcadey, I don't want to say poorly built game, but like it was almost too pixely for me. I mean, it's 3 dimension, but it was too. It looked like it was just put together really quick, right? And you were playing around in this sort of asset field, and it labels itself as a Metroidvania, and I was like, like I love Metroidvanias. Don't get me wrong, like one of my favorite genres. However, Metroidvanias have always, historically for me, they've always been quite an investment. Depending on how they handle their map system and how you uncover things. And the difficulty, of course, as well. Now, when I started playing Recompile, because I was like, look, let me try it on the cloud really quick, and if that way I don't have to install it, and
Right,
if
right.
if it works, then it works, and if it doesn't, no harm, no foul. But something about it just kind of drew me in, so I started playing Recompile, and it's not so much a Metroidvania. I don't know why they call it a Metroidvania because I didn't get that feeling at all. What I felt more so was actually like an adventure platformer, with like third-person shooter elements. And I've been having the time of my life with it, man. Like I'm glad I gave it a shot because it's honestly really really good. So the way they sort of try to sell it to you on the stores is a little odd because it almost seems like they're uh, doing themselves a disservice, for how they sort of market it. But once you start playing it, it's actually, I don't want to say it's unique, but it's something else. Like
It
there's
looks
something
like
special.
it looks like Res in a real world. Your
Yeah,
character looks like Res, like the character from
that's a
the
great way to
Res
put it.
game, and then but
Yeah.
everything around it is like, well, I say real, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like, and you're in this sort of like digital space because you're playing this sort of
huh.
like antivirus software is kind of what you're playing as, and and you're going around just basically like just killing these viruses and trying to uh recoup these databases basically. And as you're recovering these databases, that's where the story kind of is because you access these databases via emails and whatnot, and then you get the story from there of like what's going on. But the platforming feels solid. All the upgrades you get are great. I mean, it runs beautifully. The graphics are actually really nice when you see it in motion on a 4K screen, like both on Series S and Series X. Like it's a really wonderful game actually.
It
Like,
looks
and I
really
was,
pretty.
yeah. And I was like relatively surprised. I'm glad I gave it a shot because again, when I was reading the summary of it, I was like, I don't know, but there's something there that's drawing me in. I don't know. Sometimes you just know. You get a feeling with a certain game or a
Yeah.
movie or a book, and you can't really explain it, even though you're kind of uncertain. But you're just like, you know what? Like, let me just give it a shot. No, again, no harm, no foul, and it's on Game Pass. I can play through the cloud really quick. It literally costs me nothing, and I'm spending no hard drive space. Let me just jump in for 5 minutes. Next thing you know, 2 hours pass by.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
loving it, but yeah, you get all these upgrades, and it's really really cool, and it feels awesome when you get
Hmm.
these upgrades too. Like each upgrade that you get feels instrumental to your progress, and cool little knickknacks and things hidden everywhere, and it really rewards you for exploring too. Metroidvania is a weird term because like I can see it, but it's very light. Like you are in in a Metroidvania sense, you are kind of you're going back and revisiting some areas and accessing areas within those areas that you couldn't have accessed before because you didn't have a certain ability,
Yeah.
right? Or you couldn't reach a certain platform, so on and so forth. But again, it doesn't present itself as a Metroidvania as much. Again, I'm playing through this game and I feel more because I come from a platforming sort of upbringing. That's where I feel the most comfortable out of every genre. It's not my favorite genre, but out of every genre, I feel the most comfortable with platformers. That's the one that I'm the best at. That's the one I speedrun the most. My reactionary skills and my muscle memory, everything's just been tuned perfectly for platformers.
Right.
So that's what I grew up with. So, and I can apply a lot of that platforming, skill and upbringing into this game, no problem. So that's why I feel like this is more of a platformer than anything else. Because again, you don't have a skill tree in a traditional sense. Either you get upgrades, but you don't. But that's it. I mean, it's everything feels very light.
Hmm.
It's very much about the gameplay. We're not going to have you sit through a million menus and do resource management. We're not going to because all the weapons and the abilities you have unlimited stamina, unlimited ammo. You don't have to worry about numbers going down. Again, you do what you want to do and
Right.
explore. You don't have to worry about that stuff. You're not going to have to go around collecting ammo to replenish whatever. Yeah, you're good. You don't have to worry about that. Um, so yeah, the only thing you really have to worry about that really goes down is your health. But even then, whenever you kill an enemy, they always drop a bunch of health sort of particles, and you collect that up, and you're good to go. So, um, but yeah, no, it's a really neat game. The art direction is like really interesting,
Yeah. It is.
and the level design is actually really really nice. But it's weird when you read about it. It's like because it's not again. I think it does itself a disservice and when you play it, you know, I mean, it's not going to click with everybody, but I was genuinely and pleasantly surprised playing it. So I highly recommend
Oh,
Recompile. Again, it's on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, check it out. It doesn't cost you anything other
add
than
it
the
to my
subscription.
list.
Yeah. Um, so, so a few more right before we get to Evil Dead. Again, these are also short games. So, I played recently a really short game. And when I say short, I mean 20 minutes. I played a game called Rusty Sword Vanguard Island. This is
Hmm.
on PC, and I saw it recently. I ran into it because I saw it on the eShop actually. And I saw it was only for 99 cents, and I was just like, why does this game with great pixel art, you know, like this game has better pixel art than a lot of the other indie, you know, pixel art driven games that I've seen on the Switch. So why is this only 99 cents? What's wrong with it? Well, there's not really much wrong with it except for the fact that again, it's only 20 minutes. It's very,
Right.
very short.
That's a
But I
quick
played it,
game.
yeah, really quick. But I played it on PC. It's a nice little palate cleanser, honestly. But I played it on PC instead of the Switch, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It's very much like beat for beat an old school Zelda game, right? That's all it is, but like reskinned. But the pixel art's really, really nice, and you just kind of go through it, and you know, you get your sword, you go through one dungeon, you beat that boss of the dungeon, which doesn't take long, and then credits. That's it.
Huh.
You know, thank you for playing. You know, and then that's it. But for what it's worth, again, like I wish it wasn't so short because like the game almost leads you to believe that there's so much more to do and so much more to collect. Because when you open up your menu, you know, there's a bunch of item slots, not only for your weapons but just for your inventory. There's a bunch of hearts. It seems like you can unlock, so on and so forth. But it doesn't label itself as a prologue or anything like that. I mean, this is a full game. I don't know if it was meant to be a tech demo or what, but
Maybe it was like either a proof of concept thing on purpose, or they just ran out of money and had to put out what they had, and it just happens to be
yeah,
a good 20 minutes. Who knows?
yeah, could have been a school project too, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I don't
Could have
know.
been.
So, but it was a solid 20 minutes, honestly. And for 99 cents, I mean, like, you know, it's 99 cents. Anybody who can spare 99 cents, I mean, I think you'll walk away happy for the most part. I mean, could you spend 99 cents on better games? Sure. But, you know, it's credit where credit's due. It was an interesting enough game, and it played how you expected it to play. It didn't try to, you know, do anything overly ambitious. The art's really great. The music was really solid, and the dungeon was really solid, and everything was intuitive and easy to read, and everything felt right. Hitboxes felt right. Everything about the game felt right. You know, it felt like a really solid game, and I think and you know hopefully we can see you know them sort of you know adapt the game into something bigger in the future. Hopefully someone you know that has the time and money to invest, whether they be an investor themselves or another just a publishing studio, can look into this and be like, you know what, you got something here, man. Let's take this and let's turn it into something bigger because you got something here. You know, something that's longer than 20 minutes, at least a couple hours for people to really you know go on an adventure with, because I think it's really solid. It's really solid. Again, only 20 minutes, but 99 cents. Hey, you know, I had a good time with it for 99
Yeah.
cents. So,
Huh.
um, but yeah, and lastly, before Evil Dead, I was playing a little bit of Down in Bermuda, and this game I didn't realize for the longest time because I kept looking at this game every time it went on sale, right? And I was like, man, like this looks like a really really nice puzzle game, but I didn't realize for the longest time that this game was made by the same studio that made a little game called Agent A. And
Hmm.
I loved that game. I played that game on mobile forever ago, probably sometime last year, and I fell in love with it. I mean, that game blew my mind because it was like one of those Russian like Matryoshka dolls, right?
Hmm.
And that just keeps, you know, you take a piece out, you take another piece out, and it just keeps. There's more and more and more and more in there. And each level felt like that. Not in Down in Bermuda, but in Agent A, where like you just kind of kept uncovering these things. It looked like a small level, almost like an escape room type of like level, but everything is just so. But you're not trying to escape. You're just genuinely just trying to find and uncover stuff. And like everything was just so interesting and beautifully done, and the art style is fantastic. And I didn't realize that for the longest time that Down in Bermuda was made by the same people until I actually like sat and read through the summary. And right at the very bottom, it was like, "Hey, it brought to you by the people who brought you Agent A." And I was just like, "Why didn't you say that to begin with? I would have bought this forever ago if you had just said that." Because Agent A is arguably one of my favorite puzzle games of all time, probably. Because it's hard now to I feel like experience puzzle games that are unique because like I
Yeah.
love puzzle games, but I want there to be more to it versus like just figure this out. It's hard to explain because puzzle games can get so intricate, but there needs to be a sort of magic in there, and it's hard to define that because that can be interpreted in so many ways. But
It's $2 right now on the Switch.
oh
$2.
God, yeah, and that's where I played it was on the Switch, yeah, and that's why I bought it because again, and I think Agent A is on sale too. Oh my God, like please, a $5 bill, and you have $1 left over. We'll take care of both of those games, and you have brilliant puzzle games on top of that. They're also available on mobile if for whatever reason you prefer that platform. But again, if you love puzzle games, please, please, please do yourself a favor. And Down and Bermuda was a nice palate cleanser because it was only like it couldn't have been longer than 2 hours. Now Agent A for me felt a little bit longer because some of those puzzles, my lord, they got super, super intricate and super logical to the point where I'm like, man, and like I get super stubborn with some puzzle games, so I hate looking stuff up unless I'm absolutely sitting there for hours at a time. So I'm
Right.
like, I want to figure it out. I feel rewarded if I figure it out. So with Agent A, I actually had to sit there for a while. I never had to do that with Down in Bermuda, um, but Down in Bermuda was pretty seamless, and but yeah, wonderful art direction, great little story, nice palette cleanser, great levels, and it kind of similar to Agent A, where you're kind of uncovering everything, but it's not anywhere near as intricate, and it's more consistent as well. Each level, you're looking for these little orbs. You collect those orbs to get an even bigger orb, and each level needs a certain amount of orbs, typically 3, to go to the next sort of stage, and yeah, man, I couldn't put that game down. It was absolutely wonderful, beautiful, beautiful game down in Bermuda, and because it has those mobile roots, you can play the game entirely in touchscreen. I was kind of doing a hybrid thing where I had my left hand on the sticks because that kind of helped rotate the camera. Meanwhile, I was using my right hand to sort of tap things on the screen. So I was kind of doing like a sort of a hybrid type of gameplay, um, and it worked really 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 well. I played Agent A entirely on my phone because by the time I like really realized how much I fell in love with it, I was already like halfway through the game, and I was like, "Ah, well, I don't want to buy it again and start over because some of those levels were hard. Even though I did end up buying it again to support them because the game was brilliant, uh, but. But yeah, no, Down in Bermuda is just a fantastic puzzle game. So if you're looking for a nice puzzle game, especially something that's nice and short and sweet, it's a really nice palate cleanser. And I played a little bit every night before bed, and it was just, I mean, just a chef's kiss type of game for sure. Um, but yeah, yeah, really, really great. And if you like Down in Bermuda, go get Agent A.
Both
Better yet,
of
I
them
think they're both
$2.
on sale. Yep. Do yourself a favor, just go ahead and buy both of them right now. Like, please. They're great. Um, but uh, but yeah. So now the star of the show. Right. Star of the show, which is Evil Dead the game. I bought this the day it came out, and I bought the deluxe edition, which is a $60 game. Right. Now, I'm a big fan of the Evil Dead um, movies, and so when I saw Saber Interactive was attached to it, I got excited because they did World War Z. And World War Z, I surprisingly fell in love with, right? I thought it was going to be, again, like we were talking about earlier, just kind of like a cheap cash-in game,
Right.
right? Like, let's use this property and let's just mutilate it like every other property, that every sort of adaptation that is done for video games when it comes to film. But World War Z was one of those rare times where, like, they took that property and they made it something really amazing, something that's playable not only solo but with your friends as well, or just multiplayer in general. And they added so much content to it with so much to do, and really it was a technical sort of showcase too, just because you had thousands and thousands of zombies on screen at once. I mean, it was just crazy running at you, and I'm sure they did it some crazy way, sort of like in Plague Tale, with all the rats and stuff. So I'm sure there's some sort of like technical, magic happening there because otherwise the yeah, everyone's hardware would explode probably. Um, but it's convincing. It convincingly looks like you have thousands of things, running at you. And but I saw Saber Interactive. I saw they were being attached to this, but looking at the gameplay, I was immediately reminded of something like Friday the 13th or Predator, where it's just
Right.
like I don't want those types of games. And then there was recently an Alien game that came out that was I hate that game. I played a little bit of it
Fire
through Game Pass.
Fire Team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
that game at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that game that got uninstalled real quick, man. I played 30 minutes of that, and I was just like, nope, you're fired. You're fired. It's no, we're not doing this. That game very much reminded me of Alien 4 or Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
Which that movie's trash.
I like
Absolutely.
that movie a lot, but because it's trash.
Hey, you can like trash. That's all right. There's nothing wrong
Hey,
with that.
the best
Okay,
thing
yeah,
about
I
Alien
like the first one.
Resurrection is it makes people think, hey, wait, that Alien 3 wasn't as bad as we'd like
Yeah.
try to make it out to be, because
Yeah.
that movie is really, really good. It's not
I
anywhere
like
near as
Alien
good as the
3.
first two,
Oh God, no.
but what is? Those are freaking all-time classic movies.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
plus, it's also super interesting as looking at the behind the scenes, and that's how David Fincher got his start, and probably why he went certain directions later because of all the terrible time he had making that movie. But
Right.
anyway,
But yeah, yeah, but that Alien Fire Team was like really, really bad. Especially like I was excited to see a new Alien game come out, right? Because I loved Alien Isolation. I've played Alien Isolation so many times. Like I love that game, like from beginning to end. Brilliant game. Even the hardest difficulty. Which is, I mean, you're really putting yourself through a nightmare with that one. But it's so worth it though. It's so good because that's like the ultimate Alien experience. But anyways, we're not here to talk Alien. The point is that a lot of these games, unfortunately, the moment I hear it's a multiplayer 4v1 type of nonsense like that, I'm like, here we go. It's another one of these. Like, historically, these
Oh,
games just haven't been good. I'm sorry. Like, it's like people try time and time again, but it's just like, do you not look at your predecessors? Do you not look at other games within this genre? You can be good. I do believe you can be good. But historically speaking, there's a trend of these games being absolutely terrible, and especially when they're adapted from a certain property, it doesn't matter because it's usually made by people who say they're passionate, but clearly, whatever publisher was investing the money into it just didn't believe the same way. You just had investors that just saw, oh, successful property, let's make a game, and then that'll sell a lot, and then we'll make a lot of money. Who cares if it's not good? You know, they see a paycheck at the end of the road. They're not looking at consumer loyalty or consumer respect or the long-term part of it, which is especially with all these games being, I'm trying to say this with no expletives.
he's trying to be
With all these
nice.
games, yeah,
It's
with all these
fine.
games being,
If you have to let one fly, you have to let one
no,
fly.
no, no, that's good. No, I'll keep it PG-13,
He's like,
but
what were
it's
you thinking?
yeah, but like it's with all these games are live service too, and that's the thing. It's like it
Ugh.
it drives me crazy. But again, without having to rant on about all the problems with that genre, um, this was by the team behind World War Z. I loved World War Z, right? It was everything I wanted in what live service multiplayer should be. Again, this is coming from a guy who doesn't really care at all for multiplayer. Like I'm a single player guy, you know. Like even with multiplayer games, I'll queue up solo. I don't care. You know, I don't need a party of other people that I know. You know, that doesn't concern me. That doesn't care. I don't care. So, but this was one of those odd occasions where, you know, it just didn't. World War Z. I'm trying to like just finalize like this thought together, just because there's so much running through my head at the moment. But
flames on the
yeah,
side
yeah,
of his
yeah,
face,
flames, yeah.
Flames
flaming.
inside.
But
Uh,
World War Z was great. Let me just simplify it that way. I loved World War Z, and then when Aftermath came out, I got it. I loved it. It was great. Um, so I saw Evil Dead. Okay, I like Evil Dead, right? I saw Saber Interactive. Okay, love Saber Interactive. They did World War Z. They have set certain expectations for me. You know. Um, Now here's the thing. With Evil Dead, I got it, pre-ordered it, played it. First impressions were not good, right? Because I honestly didn't look at much gameplay on it. I already knew what to expect just from the images alone and just from the summary. Here's another 4v1 type, Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th type nonsense. Um, but and yeah, first impressions weren't good, right? Because even though it has crossplay enabled, it was hard finding a match. Not because people weren't playing, but apparently the servers were just so messed up. And which I guess probably a good thing because they sold a lot more than they expected. Apparently, I was reading an article. They sold actually 500,000 copies
oh
within the
wow.
first couple of days of release, which you don't really expect for a game like this, I guess. Like you do have that Evil Dead name to it, but again, a game like this how it works mechanically in the
Right.
millions of other games we've seen before it, just like this. It's become it's in a market that's become increasingly oversaturated. So but yeah, I mean it's been a big hit for them, which is great. But servers weren't good, and then there's an odd misbalance between the survivors and the killers. They call them the Kandarian demons, but what is effectively the killers, and you only have three to go between at that moment when you start up the game. You can technically unlock more survivors, anyways, playing through the short and very small amount of quote unquote solo missions that they have. And it's weird because even though they're solo missions, you do have to be online. The game is entirely online. There's no offline. So if you're offline, you cannot boot it up. Even if you just want to play the solo stuff, which there is solo stuff, nope, too bad. You got to be
I
online
hate
for
that.
that,
I
which
hate
is
it.
weird. I hate that. Yep, I hate it. So that was another big no-no for me. That was
Even
another
though
thing.
I'm always online anyway, it doesn't
Oh
matter.
yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
no, it doesn't matter. But like it drove me crazy right away, and especially with the servers not working, and again because the servers aren't working, you can't even play the solo
yeah.
content. It's
See, and
wild.
that's the
Um,
aggravating part. It's like,
yeah, exactly. So internet connection or not, it's like I can't access the content that I paid $60 for, mind you.
Whew.
So the 40. But again, I like Evil Dead enough, and I trust Saber Interactive enough to provide that content because the $60 version comes with the first season pass, which otherwise is $30 if you want to buy it separately. If you bought the game separately, it would have been $70. Not only do you get the season pass, but you do get extra perks. You do get a costume pack and a couple of other things too, which all of those are sold separately as well. But again, that tacks up. I think if you were to buy everything separately, you were going to be looking closer to $90, right? So, so I was like, you know what? Let me just get the deluxe edition, because this is a game I would like to stick around with for a while. And I have actually been playing it pretty consistently. I've been playing it every day since I got it, at least a few games a day, right? And because I want to get my money's worth out
well,
of
Yeah,
it.
you
yeah,
paid
yeah.
for it. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
like me. If I pay for it, I gotta play it a little bit.
yeah, exactly, just a little bit at least. Um, but but it wasn't good with first impressions. The solo missions were hard, they were nonsensical. There's the problem with the solo missions also is like when you die in those solo missions, and I don't mind a challenge. If you want to be difficult, go for it.
Right.
But these were a little unrealistic, right? Like I understand wanting to be survival horror, but when you give me three bullets that needs to last the entirety of this 15-20 minute mission, you know, and you're basically telling me, all right, you just only have melee to rely on the entirety of this time. It becomes difficult because you can only dodge so many times. You do have a stamina meter, but you can only run so much. You can only dodge so many times, and it does reach a point where it's overwhelming. And there's no lock on either, and there's no indication where the zombies are coming from, even with the headphones on, as it does have 3D audio, but all of a sudden you'll get hit in the back, and you're like, what in the world is going on? I got three dudes in front of me. All of a sudden I got this huge demon behind me. What is going on? I didn't hear any footsteps because there's nothing but a bunch of grunts going on. So even those 3D audio stuff is coming from everywhere, so you don't know who's coming where.
Right.
You get backstabbed literally all the time, and it's a mess. It's aggravating, and it gets to a point where it's not fun. But as I've been playing more and more and more, and now things are sort of not necessarily fleshing themselves out, but becoming more stable, anyways. Um, it's making me appreciate it more, especially now that I've understood how the game works, what to do every time you're playing as a survivor or a killer. I'm still kind of learning the killers a little bit, but as a survivor, I get it now. Like it's just basically the game is you collect these map pieces, specifically three map pieces that are spread throughout randomized maps. They're not procedurally generated, but they're just you don't. There's not a map selection, so when you match make, you're always just kind of thrown into one of the maps they have available.
Right.
So, but I think that's also dependent on the killer that you're teamed up with, or that you're matched up with. So, but yeah, you go and find three pieces that are kind of placed sporadically throughout the map, and once you find that, then you go and you acquire a couple pages from the Kandarian book, which summons, but also removes demons, expels demons. And then you have to find a very specific dagger. And then while you're getting the dagger and the book, you're kind of you have to wait a certain duration because it's almost like a weird sort of AoE thing that happens where once you're in there and you activate it, then there's like this big blue circle that you're all in, and you just waves of enemies that come after you, right? You just have to survive within the certain time limit, and then once that's done, the enemies stop, and then you'll acquire the book and then the knife as well. And then once you get that, then you can go to these gigantic, almost they look like Grim Reapers almost. They're like three Grim Reapers that are these huge towering demons, and they're kind of just spinning in a circle, and then you use the demon in the not the demon, the knife in the book to kind of shoot out this magic at them, and then you do that 3 times. Or they have 3 health bars anyways, and then you have to get each health bar off one at a time while you're shooting out this magic. And the entire party of 4 can shoot it out at once, and obviously it goes quicker the more people are doing it. And once that's done, then the actual demon book comes up, and then 2 things happen when that demon book comes up. That demon book has health, right? So if you're playing as a killer, your job is to destroy either the demon book or kill all the survivors, then you win. But as a survivor, your job is to defend that book within the time limit, and then if you do that successfully, then the book just has this crazy red aura that goes into it. You start seeing the pages flip like crazy. All the demons get sucked into this book. It gets locked up, and then you win the game. All the demons are expelled, and everybody goes home happy and go Starbucks afterwards, whatever.
Well,
So, and then you win the game. But yeah, the balancing is a little skewed. But honestly, now that I've played it a couple times, I'm actually having a really good time with it. The survivors are honestly kind of pointless. They have different tiers. They have a leader, a hunter, an assassin. I think that's what it's called, or just a fighter, and then support. I feel like there might be a 5th one that I might be forgetting, but but yeah, and there's not many characters. Like when you start the game, there's one leader, there's one support, and then there's maybe like 2 or 3 in the other categories. So not many characters to begin with. The content is pretty low. If you do the difficult solo missions, you actually can unlock new characters and skins. So that roster can grow. But you do have to sort of you have to be willing to put yourself through that challenge because it is a challenge. And again, I don't mind a challenge because World War Z could have been like what had its challenging moments, but it was perfectly doable. This is almost like again unrealistically slow. I'm like, did you not put this through testing like at all? Like, because this is not. No one's happy with this, and this is not just my personal opinion. Because I was like, is anybody else having trouble? Because maybe it's just me. Because sometimes I just have to admit to myself, like, "Ah, I'm just not good at a certain type of game, right?
right.
But I looked it up. I went on Twitter and I was looking up, hashtags and just what people thought of Evil Dead and stuff like that. And the biggest criticism I saw outside of the balancing was the solo missions of not only being online only, right, but being just like just unrealistically hard, especially with when you die, there are no checkpoints. So you're spending 15, 20 minutes in this mission. If you die, sorry, you got to go right back to the beginning, you know. And being as hard as they are, checkpoints would have been nice. They don't have to be close to each other, but at
Right.
least like per significant event that happens, because there's maybe about 3 or 4, and it takes let's just say they're 20 minutes. So let's just say if there's 4, 5 minutes apiece, right? So that's fine. If I lose 5 minutes of progress, fine. So long as I go back to the other checkpoint, sure.
Yeah.
You know, but if I'm nearing in that 20 minutes and I'm right by the end and I happen to die right at the end and I have to go right back to the beginning, nope.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm taking a break. I'm not just gonna keep doing that. That's over and over again. That's insanity. So I'm not doing that. But yeah, I have my gripes with it, but honestly, the more that I've been playing it, I've been having a good time with it, honestly, and now I am happy with it. But I just hope that with all the criticisms, which are all valid, not only from myself, but all the stuff that I've been seeing, um, that they're taking that to heart, and they are going to implement some changes and some patches in the future because I think this game can absolutely have a great and healthy life ahead of it if they treat it right. Again, first impressions weren't great, but as I've been playing more and more, I've really been actually enjoying my time with it. But there's a lot that needs to be done. This game is far from perfect. Um, and yeah, but it's streamlined. The skill tree is really easy to read. But again, these survivors aren't very different. Everyone has their own sort of quote unquote special. And all that really does is they have different perks, right? Like if you're a support, what that does is if you utilize your special with the click of a button, you have this aura that goes around you, right? And people that are within that aura just naturally gain their health back, right? If you're a leader and you execute your special, chances are you're giving everyone a damage buff, right? So you can do stuff like that, so on and so forth. But otherwise, when you look at the skill trees, a lot of them are the same, right? Where a lot of the upgrades are just like increase your stamina, increase your overall health, increase your damage output, increase your resistance, increase this, increase that, or take less of this, so on and so forth. So, lose, don't gain as much fear. That's the stuff that I hate the most. I think there's this fear level that's right underneath your health, and it's really broken. It's stupid that it doesn't need to be there. The longer you're in the dark, you gain fear. And what this fear does is it makes you not only take more damage, but it makes you very difficult. It makes things very difficult to aim. And there's just a lot of um, handicaps that come to having a high fear level. And the fear goes up so quick and so high. And it doesn't go up that high if you're within your group, but if you're alone and you're out in the forest and there's no light, you have a flashlight on you, but that doesn't decrease your fear at all. It just makes it go up slower. But yeah, you can find specific areas. You gain little matchsticks, so you can light them and light up a little campfire or a little lantern, or just burn a little bush, whatever. And just gain any light source that way, and then you can decrease your fear that way. But it is too overwhelming, especially with everything going on. That fear meter does not need to be there. It's a pointless mechanic. It's stupid. It cripples you a lot of the time, and it doesn't benefit anybody. And as a killer, your job also, you can set traps everywhere, but your job also is to get their fear level as high as possible. But as a killer, you're always thrown in random parts of the map, and it's honestly hard finding everybody. The only way they pop up on a map is if they're driving or making a lot of noise. Then you can see them on the map. Otherwise, you don't know where they are, so you just have to walk around and look for them. And and yeah, but chances are by the time you get to them, they've already scared themselves half to death. You know, like, so your job is made easy with this stupid fear meter. And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that needs to be tweaked and worked on, but overall, I'm having a really good time with it. I've put in a lot of hours on it already. And honestly, it's a fun game to jump into for 2, 3 matches at a time. Jump out. It's a great jump in, jump out game. That doesn't really ask too much of your time. I think each match, the longest match I played was maybe 20, 25 minutes. But after a point, there is a countdown. It doesn't explicitly state it, but if it lasts long enough, it does get to a point where it's just like, all right, look, you got 5 minutes left. Let's get this rolling.
Right.
Because we're not going to let this match last forever. So, but if it does last a long time, also you get a lot of experience points. So there's that too. So like you do get rewarded. It's not like you're wasting your time or anything. The only thing you're wasting your time with is doing a completely solo match, right? So you're fighting not only an AI killer, but you have AI teammates as well. And I actually didn't mind the AI teammates because they've like followed you everywhere. So your fear meter was pretty well balanced throughout the whole time. And they were smart. Instead of like random people disconnecting all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how smart are they? Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they helped, which I which was nice. So
All right, so they're already better than the ones in Black and Back for Blood, which are just stuck in the wall and can't
yeah,
carry
exactly.
anything. I'm like, I
Yeah,
gotta do all the work myself.
yeah, exactly. But you don't get because I the other day I was maybe like all of 40 experience. I think each time you gain a new level, it's about 9,000 experience you need to gain a new level, and I had like maybe 8940, right? So I just needed just a little bit more, right? And each match usually gives you anywhere between like 4 to 6,000, depending. Um, so it's easy to gain levels. Every 2 matches, you're practically gaining a level. Um, and with those levels, you get skill points, and those skill points are used to upgrade your survivors or your killers. You can upgrade your killers as well. Um, but the playing solo, because I was like, let me just do a quick match. I don't want to do any. I don't want to spend 20, 25 minutes. So I played a solo match, AI killer, AI teammates. I just wanted to jump in, do something really quick. I was out within maybe 7, 8 minutes, and nope, no experience. So great. I wasted my time
Yeah,
doing
really.
that, and I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. Like, why? Why? Like, not only is it online only, but now you're penalizing people who just want to play by themselves. You know what I mean? Because not only can you not do solo missions without a offline offline period, but you can't get any experience if you just want to, play by yourself and play with some computers. What? Like that? Why are that just? I don't know. That to me sounds disrespectful towards the player's time and just the player's preference, as well. I think not allowing them to upgrade or being able to gain those experiences needed to not only gain your personal level but get these skill points to unlock higher levels for your survivors and killers, which by the way increase your survivability um, in these matches. uh, I think that's obnoxious to me. That's unnecessary. That whole thing is just stupid. So, yeah, a lot of user friendliness could be done to the game. It needs a bit more work. Nothing that can't be fixed through patches. I do believe this game can be something absolutely special. Right now, it's just not there. The potential is, but it still has a lot of work to be done. But again, I'm actually enjoying my time with it, believe it or not. And if you're looking for another, sort of more fresh, 4v1 type of game to jump into, I mean, and you got the money to spend. I mean, it might be
Yeah.
worth your time. It might be worth your time, at least
You
for
know
the
what
base
would be
game.
worth my
Eh,
time is if they did an awesome single player Evil Dead game where you just play as Ash and you have a chainsaw
Yeah,
arm and a shotgun and a one-liner button.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the game I want.
Yeah.
A
You're
one-liner
not
button,
wrong.
yeah. Well, isn't that what they're doing? They're doing that with at least the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. That's single player, if I'm not mistaken. When that got announced, I don't think that's a multiplayer
Yeah,
game.
but I'm not interested in that one because it's not my franchise or anything like
Well,
that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
plus it'd be not as much fun as running around as Ash from Evil Dead,
Well,
hitting a
yeah,
one-liner button. Like, just have Bruce Campbell record a bunch of lines that
yeah,
make no sense. It doesn't even have to make any sense in context. I just want to hear Bruce Campbell
yeah,
saying dumb stuff and
yeah,
like, like, like that. Just use it as a
perfect.
soundboard. Just hit that button over and over.
yeah.
Hit that button.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing you don't see enough of. Like that, I think Luigi's Mansion revolutionized was just that button dedicated to yelling Mario's name. That was it in Luigi's Mansion. You give me that for Evil Dead, beautiful. That 500,000 could have been 5 million. Saber Interactive. That could have been 5 million. But nope, you decided to go the easy route. Okay, okay. But yeah, anyways, that's how I feel about Evil Dead. If you can find it on sale, it might be worth it. But you know, I I say I paid $60 on it. I actually got a good deal on it, so that's why I feel like I'm more or less happy with it. I think if I did pay the full $60, oh yeah, I'd probably be angry. But I did get a good deal on it. Um, so, but it is what it is. Is the other games like this, but at least this is trying to do something different, and it's fluid. The graphics are great. It runs great on both Series S and Series X.
Nice.
And now that things are stabilizing,
I mean,
really nice.
would you recommend it if it was like one of those things like you're a huge fan? Maybe you can get it for 20 or less. Maybe wait for a sale.
I'm sorry, you cut off.
Oh,
Everybody froze
oh,
there for a
I
moment.
was gonna
Oh,
say, would you recommend it for like $20 or less if you could get it on sale and
Oh
you're a
yeah.
huge fan? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, $20 or less will be solid. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, but I think at the price that it is now, it might be asking a bit much, and I think only really the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
dedicated Evil Dead fans, unless you can find a good deal like I did.
John
Uh,
John's running out there. I'm dedicated
Well, it's
enough
another thing to
yeah,
me, like, just looking at it is like, if you're an Evil Dead fan, why would you want to play this game? Because it feels like it's missing a lot of Evil
because
Dead
there's no one-liner
yeah.
button. Is that what you're
stuff.
most?
Yes, that too, but no, it's just like all the things you think of, like, okay, these
Yeah.
are the things that make up Evil
yeah.
Dead. Do I get to play as a cool, like, fisheye camera, like, flying through the woods? Can I do that? That would be fun. Like, I don't know, it just does not seem like the kind of Evil Dead game that I would be looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It doesn't
definitely
also, like, even if you want to make this kind of game, this license does not seem tailor-made for it like Friday the 13th or something
right.
else. Like, okay, that makes sense why you would want to do that but looking at Evil Dead, you're like, why did you make this
I
game from the
Yeah,
license?
and that's what I was confused for the
Yeah.
longest time is I would have preferred a Switch. So that's why and what I mean by that is like when I heard Evil Dead the game was coming out, because again I didn't look much up from it, but I thought this was going to be the one that's single player, but it turns out Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the one, and I'm like, well, that's not the one that should be. I feel like Evil Dead should be, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre should be the multiplayer one. But, turns out it's the other way around. And then to call it Evil Dead the game instead of Evil Dead with like a subtitle seems weird because when you say Evil Dead the game, you're expecting what you get from the movies, and from that universe, but in a gameplay format that's, again, like you were saying,
Call it
tailor-made for that.
call it Evil Dead by Daylight and then get sued. It'll be great.
Evil Dead by Daylight.
That would be great. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a game that's, you know, it'll be a great game to pick up on sale. But at the moment, um, unless you're a diehard fan, and even then, really, again, if you can get a great deal on it, then absolutely. Like I got a pretty good solid deal on it, so that's why I did it, especially for the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
So,
And if you
So-
bought it digitally and you click the thing on the
Everybody's
rewards, you
frozen.
get like 2,500 points or something like that. So in the rewards thing, so you better go click it. You get some rewards points. So.
are we okay? Okay, there we go.
Oh, are you there?
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
What I was saying was, I think they were doing the rewards points things on that game too. So you get like 2,500 rewards points if you buy it.
That was another
digitally,
reason why I
so.
did it too. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, again, I got a good deal on it, and if you can get a good deal on it too, especially, yeah, I mean, like Eric said, I think $20 is a great price, I think, for a game like this.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see where it goes in the future, because again,
Well,
Well,
I figured that was going to happen. We were going to
He
lose him.
froze a little bit on my screen, so I figure it's his internet that was
Yeah,
being
I figured
weird.
so.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, now he's back. See, it's perfect. So.
I think it's something they want to support for a long time, because again, it's not just the season pass it came with. They label it as season pass 1.
ooh.
So there's probably going to,
Oof.
Oh,
yeah.
geez, yeah.
So,
Good luck on
Uh,
that one on keeping the game going long enough to get a season pass too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put in the
That's
work
what I
and
was
get there,
worried about.
great, but good
Yeah.
luck.
That's what I was worried
Good
about.
luck with
But
that, so.
But yeah, without dragging it out too much longer, it's yeah. I mean, again, I'm enjoying my time with it, but it's definitely going to be a pick your poison type deal. It's
Yeah.
not going to be for everyone. Can it be better? Absolutely, absolutely. You probably do yourself a favor by waiting. But if you got nothing else better to do, it's a good time
I think
waster.
the biggest problem with this is it wasn't first out of the gate, so there's plenty of games of
Yeah.
that style
Yeah.
that you could go play that are better because they've had more time to add
Exactly.
all the content to it. Whereas this one's
Exactly.
just starting out, so it's like, why would you play this one when you could play that one? And that's the issue they're going to run into with keeping a player base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even
Yep.
then, I mean, and if you really want to play something like this, I mean, just go play. You can get it for so cheap now. Just go get World War Z instead. You'll have a much better time with that than
Yeah.
Evil Dead, I promise you. But credit where credit's due. Again, I'm having a good time with it. Again, it's far from perfect. Needs a lot of work. But I'm hoping it'll get there. Just basing off of Saber Interactive's history and how they treated World War Z, I'm hoping they'll treat it Evil Dead with the same sort of courtesy and respect, and really respect the player base that way. Because then that'll bring in a lot of people, especially with, again, 500,000 copies sold within a couple of days. A lot of games dream for that. You know what I mean? Sure, it's not a million, but a lot of games want to reach that sort of those sorts of numbers like right out of the gate. So
That wouldn't be good enough for Square Enix, though.
No, gosh, no.
Square,
No,
but-
it
They
wouldn't.
would have
Well below
expected
expectations.
5 billion.
yeah,
In a week.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a whole other topic. Don't I'm sorry, ranting.
Yeah, let's not go on
Yeah,
that.
let's not go on that
rabbit
rant.
hole.
I couldn't resist. That's all I
Yeah.
could think about.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not
That
wrong.
way
not
lies
wrong at all.
madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, Square
Archives are
performed
failure.
below expectations. Enix. That's the whole full title
Yeah.
right there. So,
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. All right,
but
let's
yeah. Anyways, that's my thoughts. Yeah.
yeah, let's touch on the news real quick, and then we'll get out of here. The PlayStation Plus lineup has been announced. The initial lineup that's coming out when it launches. What is it? June something. It doesn't
Exactly,
it
and that's
doesn't
how
even-
much you should be paying attention to it.
Yeah, it doesn't even say in the article. It just says June. That's all it says. Month, no, it doesn't even say that. It just, I know it's June, but they haven't even set an exact date. June 23rd. There it is. Found it. June 13th in America. It looks like 24th is when it comes out in Japan and stuff. There's only about 9 or 10 PlayStation 5 games. Not even there's a time, if you pay for the top tier, you do get a time trial of Uncharted Lost Legacy of Thieves collection for PlayStation 5.
So stupid. The whole like time trial things of stuff is so dumb. I hate
it really is.
Don't make people pay for demos. That's dumb.
Yeah, and and not only that, but it's the high tier. It's the top tier.
Yeah.
It's not even, honestly, they didn't throw anybody a bone who's just going to keep the regular PlayStation Plus, for the online. I mean, you get nothing. You get no incentive other than what you've already paid for the past 15 years, however long they've had that. I guess this is great for people who just got a PlayStation 5 that maybe have not been in the PlayStation family.
You know why it's not great, John? You already get a lot of stuff if you get PlayStation Plus regular without paying extra for all this other stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
there's overlap there, man.
Yeah,
come on.
You've got your Ghost of Tsushima, you got your Spider-Man Miles Morales, and your regular Spider-Man, and which I don't even know if the regular Spider-Man is the PlayStation 5 upgraded version, because according to their list, it's a Marvel Spider-Man PlayStation 4, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales PlayStation 4/PlayStation 5. So I don't even think you're getting the remastered.
Probably not.
Yeah, they do.
Spider-Man.
That makes it so complicated.
Yeah, I mean, and you got Returnal, you got Last of Us remastered, which I hear there's going to be another remaster of the remaster. That's the rumor that's going to be announced for the end of this year. Another PlayStation 5 remaster of Last of Us.
I can see where the reasoning on that is if they can make the original Last of Us look like Last of Us Part 2 visually, then of course they're going to do that because they'll sell a lot of them.
Yep, and they'll charge $70 for it. But anyway,
probably.
But then you got your normal things, your Arkham Knight, Control, Assassin's Creed Valhalla's on there. So I mean, you do get a couple of Ubisoft games, The Division, Red Dead Redemption 2, stuff like that. I mean, if you have not bought any first-party PlayStation games, then hey, this is good for you. If you've bought all those, I don't really see much incentive for me to pay above.
If you have not played a PlayStation game in 10 years,
right,
and you're buying one now, then there's a lot of stuff that might be worth it. But yeah, like a lot of this stuff, if you already have a PlayStation or even had a PlayStation 4, you've probably played a lot of these.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, all right, cool. You're still gonna have people say it's not Game Pass for as long as you keep trying to do it this way.
Yeah. And where Xbox has on their Game Pass, they have EA. PlayStation's going to have the Ubisoft Plus Classics catalog. A lot of people read that headline and thought that Ubisoft Plus was going to be rolled in to PlayStation Plus, which that's not going to happen. It's a separate thing, but you do get the classic that'll have 27 titles in it and then 50 by the end of the year. But it doesn't say what ones. I'm going to guess it's going to be old games like Splinter Cell and some of the older Far Cries and stuff like that. Probably the Division 2, stuff like that. But PlayStation or Ubisoft Plus is also coming to PlayStation at the same time that it is coming to Xbox. So it'll be on both consoles if you want to pay the extra $15 on top of your already subscription fee to get your Ubisoft games. Which again, if you don't buy Ubisoft games, sure, it's a great deal because it's the deluxe editions with all the DLC and everything like that. But I usually buy Ubisoft games, so it's not really anything I'm interested in. But yeah, it was just funny on Twitter when they announced things how for years it's been Game Pass bad if you're in the Sony camp, and now when they announced the games, it was subscription services good. Not Game Pass, subscription services are good.
But this was expected. We saw this coming miles away. Everyone called it. It was just like they're gonna flip. It's a double standard.
It's a double standard everywhere.
It's just because there's a bunch of stupid idiots who are noisy, and then all of the normal people who make up like 90% of who's actually out there think of it. It's just like they don't care, so they're not talking about it.
Yeah. At this point, I'm not
Like,
up
hey,
in-
I'm gonna go on Twitter and I'm gonna yell, "Man, that sky there is blue."
Yep. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like-
I'm not planning on upping my subscription to get it. There's nothing on there that I don't already have that I would play. The
I
only-
already canceled my regular PlayStation
Yeah.
Plus because I don't use that, let alone
Right.
anything more. So I was just like, nope.
The
not for
only
me.
thing that would be convenient for me is I wouldn't have to put a disc in if I wanted to play a game, and that I wouldn't pay the extra.
Oh, that is
$4.
nice.
Well, and I'll tell you what probably would happen. It probably happen like what it does with most digital PlayStation games. Even though I own the physical, have the entire game fully installed, I still have to delete that fully installed disc version and re-download the digital version because it just doesn't download a little patch and work like it does on Xbox. So to me, it's like, nah, I'm not even going to pay money to do that. And the last news that I put in here was kind of out of the blue. Starfield and Redfall got delayed to the first half of 2023. Not so much Starfield. Redfall is kind of the one that I was surprised with. My thing with Starfield
I'm not surprised with either one.
Well, when it comes
they
down
haven't
to
shown anything of Redfall, and it was supposed to be out in a couple months. Nah,
Yeah.
this is not surprised at all.
And they haven't shown
I'm
anything
betting
of Starfield either. So
one of those is also, at least one of those is going to get delayed again and be late 2023.
yeah, and if I had
I
to
would not
guess,
be
it's
surprised.
probably going to be Starfield at this
Probably
point.
Starfield. Well, just historically speaking, how Bethesda is.
Boy,
Well, yeah, because A, Bethesda just, that you would expect that from that studio, but B, that's going to be the much bigger scope game
Right.
than Redfall.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm all for
Yeah.
delays to make a game better. I'm all for it. I have no problem with that. But boy, you talk about something that just tore the Xbox community in half. Half of them were, oh yeah, this is good. We want to make sure. The other half is pitchforks and fire, canceling Game Pass subscriptions right and left because there's no AAA games coming out this year.
not an
Why is it gotta
Xbox
be
thing.
delayed?
That's just an everybody thing.
Yeah.
So, like, anytime a big game like this gets, delayed or something, there are people like, oh, I'm entitled. I needed that game now because I was expecting it. I was like,
Well, and
calm down.
last year Sony delayed God of War, and I don't remember seeing a huge uproar about that one being delayed. And I have a feeling I don't care what they say, they've come out a dozen times in the past 2 weeks and said, oh, we're still on track for 2022. I guarantee that will fall back into 2023, whether it's January, February, March, but I think it's going to fall back again. With everything going on, people are just
We'll
now
see.
getting
Yeah, it's hard to
off
tell,
this,
but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen more people today. Well, Game Pass just doesn't have anything AAA on there, so I'm just unsubscribing to it right now.
I love this. I think that we have Cyberpunk to thank for this
Yep.
and some other game delays. Because if Cyberpunk hadn't been such a big public explosion, Starfield probably still would have come out this fall, and it would have been broken just like Fallout 76 was when they launched that.
Mhm.
And it would have taken them a long climb to get it to work. And, this way they delay it. And maybe it'll still be broken when it comes out. Who knows? We'll find out. But at least they're, trying to put some work in.
And they
or at least it seems that way.
They never should have put a date on it a year ago. They just should not have put a date on it.
Well, they were trying to be cute with it because
I
of,
know, because
oh,
Skyfall
cool,
or
Skyrim date.
But
It was like, yeah, I get it. But yeah,
the minute
when it took them this long, we still hadn't seen any gameplay on it. You're like, it's not coming out.
No, and I mean we've got the the 16th, I think, is the Xbox thing.
Somewhere in there, it's like,
the 12th.
hey, this is
on my schedule. Yeah, the 12th.
It's like whatever the Sunday that lands in the teens would be is like, hey, we're doing our E3 press conference without an E3 because we're Microsoft, so why not?
And there's going to be a ton of stuff announced during that, and I have a feeling
there's also like the Summer Game Fest thingy or whatever that Jeff
that
Keighley's
starts the
doing.
9th.
There's
Yeah.
some other smaller kind of things. So like, even though there's no E3 in June, there's still a lot of video game conferences and all sorts of different things. We're gonna have quite a bit of video game news coming up.
I think video games have gotten so big. There's a small, maybe quarter of people who play video games that only want the AAA video games. They don't play anything else. They don't play any indie games. They don't play any online multiplayer games. They don't play any RPGs. They want those AAA game experiences. And if they don't get them, they're also the loudest voice you hear on the internet.
See, but that's also their fault. I'm sorry. It's their fault for not branching out. And,
Yeah.
there's plenty of incredible games out there, even ones similar to those AAA ones that you like that sure, they don't say EA or Activision or Nintendo on them, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you can find those experiences elsewhere. It doesn't need a $10 million budget.
No, and it doesn't need to be made by Santa Monica Studios
No.
and Sony. It just doesn't. It doesn't need to be made by Microsoft, a Microsoft studio that, no,
Give it
just
time. When we have Call of Duty fully taken over by Microsoft and they delay it for a year, so it's not a yearly title anymore, there's going to be so many people whining and complaining about it because they're used to having it every year. Oh, it's different now.
And they're already...
Same time, anytime there's any kind of like big change or something, there's a lot of just entitled people who are just like, yo, I'm complaining because I didn't get what I wanted, man.
And they're already throwing out little hints of this. They're already saying, well, we might consider doing this. We've got the online, we've got Warzone, we can keep it going and updating it, but as far as a full Call of Duty campaign, it might not come out yearly. We might take the
people don't even play that anyway as much as you're just playing the multiplayer. You're gonna play it for 2 years instead of 1, and you're gonna be happy about it because you would have done the same thing anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like you're buying a new game, but you're still playing the Call of Duty multiplayer that is not that different between all the games, depending on which ones you're looking at. There are, some significant changes, but it's still Call of Duty. They're not going to change it that much.
And Twitter just recommends me so many game things. It's like, well, you like this one, so we want to, and it's just people raging about, oh my gosh, Starfield got delayed. Microsoft is a terrible company. Phil Spencer needs fired. He's a terrible manager. It's like,
such an extreme
just don't go on Twitter or any
like,
social media anymore.
Gosh,
just don't do it.
Just hide out.
Yeah, just let it go. If they
the problem is normal people go on social media like that anymore that much, or they're just drowned out from all the people who care. Because I literally do not go on my Twitter feed anymore ever.
Yeah, and I don't.
That's why you never respond to my tweets.
I don't.
I'll see them, and every once in a while I'll put something out there. But yeah, I don't like scrolling through that feed. I deleted my Facebook account a while ago. It's just like social media and like almost any kind is just a trash hole at this point.
Yeah, and I see people. We have a very inclusive gaming community, and we want a friendly and we want to we're not downplaying, we're not doing console wars, we're not doing this and that, yet it recommends me people to follow that they follow, and they're the most console war-y, trashy, burn it to the ground type of people. It's like, if you constantly see that and you complain about seeing console war stuff, you got to go back and look at the people you're following. Stop following those people. I cleaned out a lot of mine, and a lot of that crap has went away. The trouble is Twitter keeps recommending me other people because other people follow those people. So I'm constantly going, stop it, stop it, stop it. I want to follow my select people, and that's all I want to follow. The other thing that aggravates me is you also got a group of people who say, well, we have the right to complain to these companies that these games got delayed. You can complain all you want, but you've got to be realistic about it. You've got to understand what's going on in the world, the way the world works, and
either way they're going to be complaining.
Yeah, here's the thing. Yes, you have the right to complain. They also have the right to ignore you because you're just yelling and it doesn't matter. It's.
I don't know.
It's the internet. People love to complain on there about many things, and gaming is definitely one of the loudest ones. That's where they get not the only one.
No, and that's where they get the most attention. That's where they get the most followers. They get the most. You don't get all that stuff by being positive and no big deal. We'll get it when we get it, and it'll be great when we get it. No, it's the hate. The people want to follow that hate, and it just. That's just sad.
I don't. I avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, I do
Like,
too.
if I'm scrolling through YouTube and you have a video that's like, the top 10 mistakes you're making in such and such game, I'm not going to click on it.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
no, I
either.
hate that.
Even if you're just being clickbaity with your title and it's really like the video itself is fine, just like, no, you lost me already, because I've like been burned too many times with that type of thing. I just don't like that type of content.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm the person who goes to the Cinema Wins channel, not the Cinema Sins channel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm the guy that just looks at Steam Deck and toy
Yeah.
YouTube channels all the time.
It's like-
Yeah, I mean, I
Cinema
mostly-
Wins is the same exact thing as Cinema Sins, except one is positives and one's focusing on negatives. Otherwise, their formula is exactly the same. It's like, there's enough negative stuff out there. I'm not going to go seek it out. Like,
Right.
I'll go for the good, happy,
And
positive stuff.
I'm not even going to throw it on, oh, well, that guy's an Xbox guy, I'm going to follow him. Yeah, the whole time he's trashing Sony and crying and whining, but I'm going to follow him because I'm not even doing that. If you keep
Yeah.
talking about that crap, I'm out the door. I'm not interested. But, it's like one of the stories I didn't put in because I figured me and Dennis was the only two that would really know anything about it. I mean, there was, what's her name?
Miss
Who's
Deus-
a matter what?
Deus Geek?
Miss
Deus
Deus
Geek?
Geek. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's an Xbox ambassador. And somebody got mad at her and started looking into her gamer score and found out that she has less than 10,000 gamer score. So
Who cares?
why is she and I mean people exploded on her about it. It was insane. But I hate to tell
Who
people
cares?
anybody could be an Xbox ambassador. I was one for a long time when I worked retail because that was the only way you could be one when they first started that. You had to be working in the retail environment. And the whole thing is you're on message boards helping out other people with problems when they're stuck in a game, when they're stuck not being able to do this. You're nothing more than a monitor on a message board. You're not really anything else other than that. But oh my gosh.
It's almost the same thing as being like a mod in a Twitch chat or something like that.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. Even Sony had something like that when I was in retail. I forget what it was called. They don't do it anymore, but I can't remember what it was. It wasn't an ambassador; it was something else. But anyway,
I
it's
remember what
like,
you're talking about.
oh, why do you care? I mean, if they play games every once in a while, people have lives other than just playing games all the time and can
Hey,
still be gamers.
They're spending all their time helping people and doing that and don't have the time to play the game.
Yeah.
Oh no. Or maybe
Oh,
they
my
just
gosh.
don't go for achievements. Maybe they
Well,
have
plus-
other platforms they also play on. Like
Or
Or
so
they
many
just play
things,
games
man.
where the achievements are very difficult to
Yeah.
get. I mean, there's that too.
Oh, that, and you could scroll through Facebook gaming, YouTube gaming, Twitch, and you could see all these people who clearly never game that, have thousands and thousands of followers that are just playing around. There was one person every time I go on Facebook to check family stuff, check in. That's the only thing I use Facebook for is check in with the family. And the gaming tab will always recommend me something. I usually click on it to get rid of the notification and click off of it. Well, the one thing it keeps notifying me of is this girl who plays Call of Duty. You know what she does the whole time? She just runs around the map. She doesn't shoot. She's not shooting anybody. She's on a team. She's not doing anything. Yet she has 4,000 people watching her. You want to know why? Because she's wearing a low-cut shirt with her push-up bra and has makeup on to look like a hooker. That's what it is. I mean, it's the truth. I mean,
That's the truth. More power to her. If she's having fun and
Yeah.
making,
There we go. We can't. Yeah.
Fine,
she's
like,
she's
whatever.
making that money and having a good
Yeah,
time.
but
whatever works.
but I don't see anybody going.
It's
that
not
person's
really much
not a
less than
real
what I would do
gamer.
in Call of
my
Duty.
gosh,
God's like, I
you
gotta
know.
follow her now.
Yeah, but it's not like I don't see people attacking her on anywhere because she's her gamer score's low. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, I don't care. And none of these companies do either. I don't care. Sony doesn't care. Microsoft doesn't care. They're making money anyway. They do not care, and they don't care about you. I don't care what you think about it. They don't care about you.
The moment they've made that sale, anything that happens after that is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So
care about your wallet.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody, yes, Microsoft has become very consumer friendly with gaming. They weren't that way in the 360. You know why they become more consumer friendly? It's because they're not number one anymore. And Sony is, and Sony doesn't care, and Microsoft, they look like they care, but they really don't.
Hey, give it time, and it'll seesaw again, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, this week was the first week in 8 years that an Xbox console outsold a Sony console in Japan.
In Japan, yep.
That's crazy. I don't care if it
That
was
is
the
nuts.
Series
Yeah.
S. It's
Like, that's
crazy.
a home state.
Yeah. And you can't tell me, and everybody's excuse will be, well, there wasn't enough PlayStations available, so they just bought an Xbox. Who in the world goes into a store and goes, I'm here to buy a PlayStation 5. Well, we don't have any, but we have this Series S. Well, I'll go ahead and buy that because they don't have a PlayStation. Nobody does that.
$500. It's only $500.
Right.
It's no big deal.
Nobody does that. Who does that? I mean, I don't know. I could go on for hours and hours and
Like,
hours.
this isn't a cup of coffee that you're buying, right? It's like, oh, they don't have your cinnamon dolce latte, but that's okay. I'll just do a mocha frap instead.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
it's not. That's a couple dollars versus hundreds of dollars that you're investing
yeah.
into, the future of a medium that you're going to be investing even more into by the purchases of a bunch of software moving
Right,
forward.
yeah. But, they didn't have a PlayStation 5, so I settled for an Xbox because, what's the difference? I came in to play Spider-Man and Horizon, but you know what? Since you don't have that, I'll settle for Halo and
Sunset
Forza.
Overdrive,
It's
yeah.
fine, No, that's not the way the world works. It's just not. But anyway, that's all I've got. And if I don't stop, I'm going to talk till 1 o'clock. So, so we only got 10 minutes left for that. So, at least on the East Coast, anyway. So, all right. If anybody's not got anything else, then we're going to call this a show.
Yep.
Thanks a lot for hanging out and listening to us. If you want to join us live, follow us at GL_podcast on Twitter. It's just follow us and nobody else. That way, you can at least know when we go live, or you could come to Twitch. It's search the Gamers Lounge, YouTube, wherever, and you could just click that little follow icon so you'll know when we go live. Or if you just want to listen to the audio version of it, and subscribe on whatever podcasting catcher that you got. We're on all of them. Some of them I've never even heard of before that Podomatic has put us on. So good for us. But we should be back in 2 weeks. I know I'm taking a vacation. That might run into our vacation. I don't know. I don't remember when our vacation is. We were originally going to go 1 week, and then we had to change it. So, but if you catch us on a podcast catcher, you'll know when we go live, or know when it's up, because you'll get it. It'll be free, and it'll just go bing. So it'll be great.
Bing.
So,
Like magic.
like magic. It is magic. All right, guys. Well, again, thanks a lot for hanging out and listening, and we will catch you all next time.
Take care.
See you later.